Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Okay, oh boy, did we get just a massive story yesterday. Basically, Jimmy Kimmel has been all but fired. He's been removed from the air. It started with these local affiliates, and then the entire network took him off the air. And they took him off the air for his disgusting comments about the assassination of the late, great Charlie Kirk. And it involved him, I'm not going to play the clip. Enough people will be playing it. I'm not going to play the clip. But he was blaming MAGA people for the shooting. He said a MAGA person did the shooting. And he thought he was making funny jokes and everything. And he's been removed from the air. You may have seen the video. I was watching it this morning. His crew, they were seen leaving the set, everything. Everybody on the crew, everyone just leaving. And he's off the air. And we're going to cover this today and talk about it a lot. And I know liberals are saying that, oh, well, free speech. His free speech has been violated. There's a lot to say about that. None of that is true. His free speech rights have not been violated. This idea that you can just go out and say whatever you want to say when you want to say it without any consequences is absurd. And by the way, Jimmy Kimmel can go around and say whatever he wants right now. He just can't say it over there on ABC, on his show. But this is what they're not factoring in. And we'll go through the audio and sound bites and liberal reaction and your calls as the morning goes on. But what they're not factoring in to this discussion is this. The two top people in the MAGA movement have both been shot. One of them killed. Of course, I'm talking about President Trump was shot in Butler. They tried to shoot him again at the golf course here in Palm Beach. And then Charlie Kirk was assassinated 8 days ago. So there are assassins out there trying to kill MAGA people. Those of us that are public people, all of us are taking precautions. I have security now. The radio station immediately called me up right after the shooting and set up security for me. And if you notice, for years and years, I've live streamed out and about in places, right? Especially on the weekends. Saturday and Sundays, you'd see me all the time live streaming at Starbucks. And I would do 2-hour streams in front of Starbucks. I didn't do that this past weekend. In fact, you haven't seen me do it all week, have you? I've been in the studio or at home. And that's because it's dangerous right now to go out and do that. And the left, who literally have been dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave, literally on social media, sometimes literally on TikTok and everything else, they're still saying the things they were saying that led up to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So it's dangerous out there. We're in a time where when you say things like these Democrats are publicly saying, you are inciting violence against others. And you don't have the freedom of speech to incite violence against others. Okay? That's what's going on here. And this is what's happened with Jimmy Kimmel. And there's a lot of other things to say about it. And as the conversation goes on, I certainly will. If you would like to call in, please do. There are already people on hold. I'm going to go to the phones in a moment. The toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are tuned in at, all right? And, as an example of freedom of speech, like when we switch over to the radio in 30 minutes or so, a little more than that, you can't use profanity as an example, right? Is free speech limited? Is there some violation? No. You just can't go and say whatever it is you want to say whenever you want to say it without consequences. All right. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Brian? My name's Cam. I'm from Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's on your mind?
What's up, man? So I have a question for you. Hello?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Oh, gotcha. My fault, man. So I'm 23 years old. I'm pretty young. I'm from Arkansas, and I'm wanting to get into politics. And I've been looking a lot into everything, and I'm wanting to kind of do a little bit of what you're doing mixed with live talks and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering what your advice is, like best way to get into that. Maybe publicly, not necessarily over a live stream, but maybe going in public and doing that. How do you think I should go about doing that?
I don't know. Join Turning Point USA. They got all kinds of stuff for that.
Do you think that they would just accept some random kid just off like you know what I mean? Like
I don't know.
Have no like importance.
I don't know. I mean, I just started out when I was younger than you. I've been on the air since I was like 18 or 19, and I'm 54 now. So I've been doing this since I was younger than you. You just
okay.
Would you say
that you have a fairly big following, and like not not a big following, but would you say that you've like reached quite a few people throughout your time doing that?
Quite a few people. Just here on YouTube, I've had over 2 million people watch me in the last month. Just on YouTube. That's not including all the radio stations and my podcast. I have millions of people who watch or listen to me on some platform each and every month. Millions and millions.
Rock on. All right, man. Well, I do appreciate you. So you think joining Turning Point USA would be a good starting point? And
if you're conservative, if you're liberal, good luck.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Take care, man. All right. Hey, listen. I'm gonna move on. I appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This is Noel. I'm calling from Connecticut.
All right, Connecticut.
MAGA.
What's on your mind?
So, well, just about the Charlie Kirk thing. And the Jimmy Kimmel thing, which I'm very glad he's off the air. He should have been off the air like years ago, in my opinion. But it is a slippery slope because we talk about free speech, and I literally just yesterday. I got kicked off of TikTok for 3 days. I'm suspended because I was arguing with the liberal.
Well, don't tell me what you got suspended for. It's gonna get me in trouble. Listen, this idea.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
I'm just saying,
let me interject here. Let me interject here. This idea that you can just say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it is complete BS. I don't know where this illusion came from. So far as Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, and this is what people got to understand. There are assassins that have shot the top 2 MAGA people in America. President Trump in Butler was shot. They tried to shoot him again at his golf course in Palm Beach, right? But he got shot the first time, and they just assassinated Charlie Kirk. So there is a wave of liberal violence out there. And to go on national television and joke about it, excuse it, and blame others other than those that are responsible is irresponsible as a public speaker and a broadcaster. And people's lives are in danger. And when you continue to behave and say the things that were said that led up to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you've gone over the line, because what you're doing is you are inciting violence against others, and that's illegal.
Yeah, that is true. It's basically almost promoting it in a way, or calling if you put something, you make something so irrelevant that it doesn't matter. You can do this kind of thing, anything in life, anything. People with maybe like psychological problems or whatever, they'll act on that. And they'll have their minute of fame. And it's by him saying what he said. It's almost like he could have just said, "Hey, I'm glad he was unalived." You know what I mean? It's the same thing. He just said it in a different way. And it's freaking bullshit. I mean, you have it doesn't matter what side. I mean, it's nothing to be.
Well, people on the left, they
this
thing of free, like, for example. The last caller who was calling in with some thing about me, wanting to tell him what I've learned in over 30 years and give it to him so he could do what I do. I ended the call because I got a discussion going. Did I violate his free speech? No, it's my show. You're not. Your free speech doesn't mean that you can call in and then talk about whatever you want. Can you go to your boss and go tell him to F himself? Well, yeah, but there's consequences for that. He's going to fire you, right? So this idea that people have right now that you just have total freedom to say and do what you want. Jimmy Kimmel can go out and say whatever it was he was saying. He just can't say it on ABC. That's the difference.
Right. He's at work, basically. I mean, we see him with his suit on. He's making his jokes, but he's literally at work. He's working for someone. He's, like you said, it's a huge corporation, and they have the right, like you said, to fire him.
Yeah.
It's he's working. We just see him. We think, oh, he's just like some clown on TV, but it's a huge, monstrous corporation, and they also have the right, like you said, to unduly
and by the way, this has happened. This has happened many times. People have been taken off the air for things they've said on programs many times. I mean, this goes back before the time of a lot of people, but Andrew Dice Clay was banned from MTV because of he used some profanity on the MTV Awards. So was his freedom his freedom of speech violated?
We even have bans, even fans, right? They say you cannot. Okay, you have this song, and there's a certain word you cannot say. Do not say that word. And of course, the Doors, Jim Morrison will not only will he say it, he'll yell it because
or the liberals with or the N word, right? So if I use if I use the N word, what would happen? I'd be in all kinds of trouble.
You'd be gone. You'd be like me. You'd be suspended for 3 days or whatever.
Whatever. All right. Hey, listen. Appreciate the call. Take care. Call me again sometime. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right. You missed your chance. If you're on hold, stand by. This here on CNN. By the way, the early show that I start before the radio show, which is what this is, all of the extra programming that I'm bringing you, the early show, the after show, continuing the show during the commercial breaks on the radio, that is all brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow, okay? Including my afternoon show that I do live here and take live calls. It is all sponsored by MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com, use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for huge savings, and let Mike Lindell know that you are supporting him for his support of me, all right? Because he's making this extra show and all this extra content I'm giving you possible through his sponsorship. You can use my promo code Kane at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. The MyPillow mattress topper, I have the MyPillow mattress topper. I've been sleeping on it for years. It will change the way you sleep. The best one I like is the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. And you can see it's about $50 some off with my promo code Kane at checkout. Also, the free shipping offer, you get that 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper with free shipping, okay, with my promo code Kane at checkout. And what it does, it turns your entire mattress into a big MyPillow. So if you have a lumpy, bumpy mattress, if you got a lopsided mattress, an old mattress, don't worry about it. Get that MyPillow mattress topper. Don't buy a new mattress. Use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And again, the free shipping offer is in effect. And that mattress topper, it really changed my life when I started sleeping on it. I sleep better and like I've never slept before. So go to MyPillow.com and let Mike Lindell know that you're grateful for him bringing all this extra content. All right. If you're watching on the stream with the green behind me, don't listen to DVD. The feed is not down. Go to my main feed. There's a link in the description of the video if you're watching with the green behind me. And there you get the main chat, but you also get to see and hear all the video and audio that I share. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Mikey. I'm from California.
Hey, Mikey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
I was watching your show and just wanted to call, maybe have a little discourse about free speech and what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying. It kind of speaks to me because I've always been someone that felt that we should strive to install our values into our organizations, but there have to be limits somewhere, I'm definitely kind of more left-leaning, but I really feel like I stand apart because there are a lot of atheists on the left, and I've never been an atheist.
Well, I don't know how you can be are you a Christian?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how you can be a Christian and a Democrat with their support of abortion and other things, but,
Well, it's the pragmatism. I just, there are really high death rates for women the other way. And,
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that too. To some extent. I mean, it's really a shame what happened to Charlie Kirk, and a big nightmare that should happen.
It sure is. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Okay, if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to share. I got a lot of audio to play today, and this one here. This is Jeffrey Toobin, and it's from CNN. And for CNN to have Jeffrey Toobin on, do you guys remember what happened with Jeffrey Toobin? Back during the lockdown shutdown period, he has had another job with a magazine. What was it? What was the name of the publication he worked for? I can't remember the name of the publication he worked for. Somebody in the chat will remember and let me know. And they were meeting over Zoom meetings, and he was in a group Zoom meeting for his work. And this guy here, Jeffrey Toobin, who's on CNN passing judgment on everything conservative and MAGA. And he did not know that his camera was on. He thought that his camera was off on the Zoom during the meeting, and he pleasured himself fantasizing about one of the women in the business meeting at his work. I mean, and CNN, they took him off the air for a little while, and then they brought him back. That's pretty disgusting, isn't it? I can't believe they brought him back. They took him off CNN briefly, like Jimmy Kimmel's been taken off, but they brought him back. So the reason I share that story, it was a couple years back, is just so that you can gauge the morality of Jeffrey Toobin on CNN, who's passing judgment on MAGA people.
Talk about what was the comment that got Jimmy Kimmel in trouble. It was not about the murder.
Yeah.
It was about he was criticizing, he was mocking the president and the president's political movement, MAGA. So what we have here is the administration cracking down on someone for criticizing them, which is much worse than the government cracking down for some sort of offensive conduct relating to good taste. This is about criticism of the administration that is getting the network in trouble, and that's a much more sinister
Let's just play
thing.
the line.
Okay. The administration didn't take him off the air. A local affiliate that owned a whole bunch of stations, ABC affiliates, they decided not to carry Jimmy Kimmel. And then the network itself, ABC, made the decision. This was not a government decision. This was a decision of the companies that he worked for, taking him off the air. And if you notice, Jeffrey Toobin, this guy's shameless after what he did on that Zoom to be on television passing judgment on people. But notice how they're spreading lies here, propaganda, trying to tell you that Donald Trump took Jimmy Kimmel off the air, or Pam Bondi took Jimmy Kimmel off the air. That is not the case. All right, back to our phones. The number, if you want to call in, is toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Think about this now. George Carlin, with his bit about the 7 or 8 words that you cannot say on television, right? You know, and all this stuff. And think about it. Jimmy Kimmel is a talk show host. There's no way that people like Johnny Carson or Jay Leno, who spent how many years, both of them spent total how many years
I don't know.
on the Tonight Show?
I don't know, a lot.
You know, yeah.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Well, let me explain it in another way. Like, I have some limitations. I take live calls. I don't screen the calls. Everything's unvetted, right? Like, you just call in. I put you on hold. I don't know who it is. I just, like I did you, right? And I have some rules here. You can only call one time per show, one time per day, right? But that doesn't mean, it's actually one time per show. So I do another show in the afternoon. You can call this one and that one. That's not it. That's not an invite, Mike. But I'm just saying, I have a rule. You can only call once per show. Am I violating your free speech?
No.
It's my show, right?
No, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it's your show.
Or this one. And here's another one. Fridays on the program, which is tomorrow already, if you can believe it, Fridays is open phones. I call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You don't even have to reference what I talk about. Monday through Thursday, you got to talk about what I'm talking about. So am I violating your free speech then? Or not? Or is it my show that I'm running?
No, and that's the thing. There are certain things that you cannot say. When you decide to switch over from this to the radio, we cannot say the word. Some words on the radio, we cannot say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the deal.
That's right. And it's and we're on a delay. And if you say one of them, I have to hang up on you and dump the call when we're on the radio. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And this is not like you said. It was not the government that did this to Jimmy Kimmel. This was, first off, it was the affiliates, and second off, it was, the mouse.
That's right.
Disney.
Yeah, ABC Disney. Yeah, that's right. All right, Mike, take care. All right, good call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian Craig, Winter Garden. How you doing?
All right, what's on your mind?
This thing with Jimmy Kimmel, and maybe I heard something wrong, but what to me was even more disturbing than what he said was the audience was cheering and laughing and clapping. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. I'm not going to play the audio, okay, or the video.
I don't want you to.
And there's a couple reasons I'm not, but I'm choosing not to. It's going to be all over, so you guys, see, here's what they're not factoring in, okay? They're shooting and killing MAGA people, okay? And the reaction of the left has been approval, celebrating it, and joking around about it. All of these things can incite violence. And, when you have an audience, like I was talking to a caller earlier, over 2 million people watch my YouTube channel every month. Over 2 million. I've got a lot more people that listen to my podcast on the podcast platforms. Plus, I'm on the radio on a whole bunch of radio stations. So I have millions of people that listen to me each and every month on the different platforms, right? Millions. Me saying something is different than you saying something in your living room to your buddies or even at a bar, because you're talking to two people. Jimmy Kimmel and me, we're talking to millions of people. So with that comes responsibility. And when you're a public speaker or a broadcaster, you have to be responsible because what you're saying is reaching so many people. Right? So yeah. And he's go ahead.
Well, that's my point. I'm saying there's the left has gone so far left, but what that's going to do is they're going to lose numbers. Voting registration is through the roof for Republicans.
Yeah.
Democrats are losing numbers. So every time they do this stuff, people think, oh, look at the left, what they're doing all. And it's a sick way of saying it, but in a way, short term, it's going to be good. Because in the long term, they're going to be out of power forever. They're going to lose everything. And that's what's happening right now. They got the loud mouths right now, but eventually they won't. And the MAGA side, the conservative side, is going to be running the country for the next generation, multiple generations.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And, you know, and you know what?
One more thing. Let me,
go ahead.
Well, okay, real quick. Our side keeps saying, I hear people on our side saying, okay, well, we won power, but we need to work together. We need to compromise. No, we won. If they want to compromise, they come over to our side. We say, yeah, come on over, but we're not going to meet you in the middle. You come all the way over to our side, and then we'll do things. Mm-hmm. But you have to agree with. How do you compromise on the border? Do you say, okay, let's tear half the wall down then? No, you don't do that. How do you compromise on, say, drilling? Let's do half the states we drill, another half we don't. No. If you win elections, you get to run the country based on your views, your policies, because you won the election.
What's happened? The liberals have gotten out of control, where they're anarchists that aren't just inciting violence. Right. They're causing the violence. And we have that's my point. Yeah, and we have grown-ups running the country now, and a lot of people that are running corporations had been bullied by these woke liberals, thinking that they were the majority, and now they can be grown-ups in their own companies and not be intimidated by these evil forces of the left.
And one man caused all that and changed all that. It's the man that's in the office right now. He's done the whole thing. Anybody else would have won. Even if we would have won, it'd never been the same. The Democrats would still have power, and they'd come back into power again. But the way things are going right now, we're going to be in power for the rest of our lives, your life and my life.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, appreciate the call. Good call. You made a lot of great points. Thanks so much. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to continue to take the calls. If you're new to my program, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe if you are new to the program. And please like the video. And if you could take the link and share it on your socials and get your friends to check out the program, that'd be great too. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Matthew. I'm calling from Salem, Oregon, sir. How are you tonight?
All right. It's the morning. Even in Oregon, it's the morning.
This is true.
What's on your mind?
So, I have two questions here. I'll try to keep it quick. This is my first time hearing of you. Came across your live right now.
Welcome.
Loved the way you speak, and I'm already subscribing right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I work for a very liberal company, doing ABA therapy for kiddos with autism. Mm-hmm. And this company is ran by DEI. Liberal ideologies, left and right, constant emails about what we can do to make this better for this group of people, that group of people.
Yep.
Coworkers have recently started kind of getting the idea that I'm not like them, that I'm a conservative, right-wing Republican. Since then, they've started treating me incredibly different, very noticeably. So I was kind of curious how you would recommend responding to that.
That's the tolerant left. But the reality of the situation is, when you have a job like that. Hold on, one of my cats is about to unplug the whole stream, so give me a second, I'll answer. But come here, Hawk.
Do your thing.
Yeah. Oh. All right. He just scratched me in the face. This is Haku. He's one of my daughter's cats. He just scratched me on the cheek, pretty bad. He was getting ready to pull out my mistake, all the wires. Yeah, on the side of my face. I'm actually bleeding. Actually, that's okay. The show must go on. Here's the thing. You're in a Jimmy Kimmel situation. You're in a liberal workplace, so you got to keep your politics to yourself. It's like me when I go to Starbucks and I don't wear my MAGA hat in there, because I know they're liberals, and at Starbucks is when they found out who I am and what I believe, they start messing around with my coffee and giving me decaf.
Right.
So when you're you gotta, sometimes you gotta Be on the down low.
Well, and especially around kids, it's just not the place to talk about it.
Yeah.
I find it incredibly inappropriate, especially when they're talking. They're dressing these kids up, boys, putting them in princess dresses. They have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing this, and then that's, as soon as their parents are getting close to picking them up, better change them out. You don't want them to find out.
That's right.
Like, what the heck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
Well, listen, welcome to the program. I'm glad you found me.
Yeah, me too.
All right, take care. I'm here every day. All right, good talking to you. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Yeah, my daughter's cat, Haku, got me pretty good. I'm bleeding on my right cheek here. It doesn't hurt, but I'm definitely bleeding. Oh, boy. Well, like I said, the show must go on. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Crystal.
Yes, Crystal. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say what happened to Charles Kirk was not right. And I feel like America it's taken a downfall.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on. All right, I guess she's out of things to say, but that's okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's JJ.
Yeah, JJ.
What Jimmy might have got in trouble for is he took Trump's scene out of that, and it was from a year prior. And Trump was asked about Charlie Kirk's death, and they showed a video from a year earlier, and Trump went on talking about building.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even respond to Charlie Kirk's death.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been what got him in trouble.
Well,
Jimmy Trump didn't care.
Jimmy Kimmel is I don't know how he even got that job in the first place. He's a mediocre talent who I don't think is funny. I never understood how he got that job anyway. He should never have had it. But, what's happened with late night television since the era of Trump is they weaponized it. It's become a place of just pure hate against the MAGA movement. And the two top leaders in the MAGA movement both had been shot. One of them murdered 8 days ago. And when people are, I was talking with Steve Kane the other day. He worked on a national radio show when Kennedy was killed in 1963. And Kennedy, of course, was a Democrat. The host was a Republican. They took him off the air for a month because his show, he was an anti-Kennedy guy. And then Kennedy got shot, and they took him off the air because they thought the audience would blame him for the assassination. When there's a plane crash, we don't do commercials on the radio for airlines, okay? And what Jimmy Kimmel did was over the line and in bad taste and irresponsible.
Yes, sir. One thing you hear the Democrats talk the least about is God. They never talk about God.
No, well, they're godless.
Our quarters used to have the face of the president facing in God we trust.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's turned away from that. So
yeah,
hopefully Trump will come out with some Trump quarters one day.
Well, you can't have a living it's against the law to have a living person on money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he'll be on money one day. He'll probably be on the $100 bill, wouldn't you think? One day, President Trump, many years, I'll probably be gone by then, but one day he will be on money. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, one of my cats was about to rip out all the wires for the live stream and that I'm connected to the radio station. I went and picked him up. He was on a ledge. He was just getting ready to get tangled in the wires, and he panicked, and he just gave me a gash on my right cheek, so I'm bleeding a little bit. And it's starting to hurt. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Mr. Craig. It's Eddie from New Hampshire.
Hey, Eddie. What's on your mind?
Well, I saw the thing that you were talking about with Jimmy Kimmel basically getting axed off of the network. And my thoughts are, you know, the feeling with it is you work for a major broadcast company. You know, they might have given you a spot for your show, but that is not your network. So if you say something like whatever you did, you are accountable for every bit of it. And it sounds like to me he's crying like a baby because somebody decided to, forgive the term, pee-pee slap him and fire him.
Yes. Yeah.
So you do what you do. You do what you do. You alienate people at a time where a man was killed for doing nothing more than what he does, which is talking to people.
Well, let me give you an example here, okay? That, you know, if you take it away from politics, you're right on the money. You know, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt now, so I'm a Star Wars fan. Now, here on my YouTube channel, I could talk about Star Wars all day. You guys probably wouldn't be watching, but when the radio station clicks me on in 2 minutes, if I spent the next hour talking about Star Wars, what do you think would happen? What would the radio station do?
Yes, sir. They would probably tell you, hey, you need to knock this off, get to what you're doing, or you're gone.
Yeah, and then exactly. So has my free speech been violated, or do they own the radio station, right?
No, sir, because you're adhering to their terms of service, and if you don't, you're fired.
It's called life, right? Like you have a job, you've got a dress code.
And you know the thing, Mr. Craig, Jimmy Kimmel, the thing is with him, I don't think that half of the liberal moonbats out there realize that I'm a part of a bunch of different professional pages and things I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen people crying they've gotten fired. I've seen them crying that they're losing their jobs. There was one woman in particular, if she even is a woman.
We have about 30 seconds. We got about 30 seconds, so.
Tried setting up a GoFundMe that only made $255. You're entitled to your opinion, but your social media is not your personal diary. Don't do it. You will get fired.
Yeah, that's true. All right, appreciate the call. You made some good points. They're getting ready to switch over on the radio, so I got to run, but thanks for the call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, now the rest of you that are on hold, stand by. In about 30 seconds, we're going to be live on the radio, and I don't want to take a call and have to interrupt it, so I'm going to have to do an intro and set the stage a little bit, and then I'm going to go to the phones. If you want to call in, the number is toll-free. And it's in the live chat, okay? We have got about 10 seconds. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Celebrating 49 years on the radio. We already have people on hold. And, of course, what the main story is today is Jimmy Kimmel removed from the air by ABC over his disgusting comments involving Charlie Kirk and the assassin. And if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to talk about this in detail, and I'll share with you as the show goes on some audio sound bites of the reaction of the lunatic liberals and everything else. But the main thing that I'm hearing from people out there is for some reason they believe that Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights have been violated. That is not the case. In fact, Jimmy Kimmel can still say whatever he wants about Charlie Kirk and the assassin and his theories on it and everything else. He just can't do it on ABC. His free speech has not been violated. In fact, now the other thing they're trying to get going is that President Trump and Pam Bondi and the FCC chair, that all of them got him off the air. None of this is true. It's amazing to me how they lie to us about what's happening before our very eyes. And what had happened, and it's very simple, is an affiliate company that owns a lot of ABC affiliates. We're not going to carry the show. And in its place, run a tribute to Charlie Kirk. It caused a media sensation, and ABC has suspended him indefinitely over this. I have seen people taken off the air for saying much less. Those of you that are longtime South Florida radio listeners, remember the late Hank Goldberg? Hank Goldberg was a sports talk host and pretty famous guy, and in Miami radio, and he was on ESPN and everything. He was always getting, it seemed like once a month, he was getting suspended from his radio station for something he said on the air. It was happening all the time. You know, when you work for someone, whether it's a television network, an office job, whatever it is, there are rules of conduct that you must adhere to. You know, you could go into your boss right now and tell him to go F himself. What's going to happen? He's going to fire you. Has your free speech been violated? You know, the reason the left are rallying around Jimmy Kimmel is because they like what he was saying, and they hated Charlie Kirk. And the left have been going around. It's been 8 days since that Democrat assassinated Charlie Kirk. And we've had a week and a day of what? Democrats literally, not figuratively, literally dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave with videos online, right? Many people blaming him for his own assassination. I played some clips yesterday. CNN, Montel Williams, that idiot on ABC News, who was talking about this love story. Montel Williams was even implying that the assassination, the assassin he was defending his lover, and it was romantic. Remember all this stuff? You know, we have had lunatics running this country, and we have adults in charge now. And a lot of major corporations, ABC, Disney, and other corporations, have believed that liberal wokeism was the mainstream mindset, and they've been intimidated by these wokesters for years. And now what they've seen with the re-election of Donald Trump, the just overwhelming grief that the country is going through, the entire nation, over the assassination of Charlie Kirk, they're realizing, hey, these wokesters are some minority group of freakazoids. Why are we listening to them and destroying what it is we've built, right? That's what's going on here. So what's happened with Jimmy Kimmel, it is the right thing. And I'll say this as well. They are shooting and killing MAGA people, the left. The two top MAGA people have been shot, one of them killed. President Trump was shot in Butler. They tried to shoot him again at the golf course, and then Charlie Kirk was assassinated. When they're out there shooting MAGA people, assassinating MAGA people, is it responsible or irresponsible to go out there and talk the way that these Democrats are talking? Because what they're doing, Jimmy Kimmel and others, what they're doing is they're riling people up, which can incite them to commit violence. As an example, Charlie Kirk's assassination, I do believe, as I've said for a week and a day, the same people that killed Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, shot the president in Butler, are the same people that assassinated Charlie Kirk. However, this assassin thought he was a fascist. So it wasn't hard for them to recruit this guy and get him to do what it is he did to Charlie Kirk. And this fascist talk and this Hitler talk has been driven by liberals that are in the media, of which Jimmy Kimmel's one. The left are inciting violence against MAGA people, and they just got one assassinated. So you don't have the freedom to incite violence that results in people getting hurt or even killed. So I want to hear your thoughts about all of this. The number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey.
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, shit, I'm on the air.
Okay, all right. First dump of the day. And I'm glad it happened because it's a great moment for this to happen, okay? We're on a whole bunch of radio stations had to hang up on that caller, and we had to hit the dump button because he used the S word. You cannot use the S word on the radio. Was his free speech violated? Or was he irresponsible and we had to take immediate action by hanging up and dumping what he said? Exactly. You know, when you take it out of your hatred of MAGA people, it makes more sense to you, doesn't it? All right, let's see. Yeah, let's take some more calls. What the heck? You're on the air? What? No, hold on. The delay has not re-engaged. Let's wait for the delay to re-engage, and then we'll go back to the call. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful. Got to wait for the delay to build back up. But, you know, this is it. This idea, you know, the reason they're defending Jimmy Kimmel is because they agree and like what he was implying and saying. And that is a fact. All right. We will take your calls as this goes on. But first, while we're waiting for the delay to re-engage, I want to talk about Friendly Tire and Margate. Oh, man. You know, if you're driving around and need tires, go to Friendly Tire and Margate. He has the lowest prices on new tires you'll find anywhere. I've been buying tires there for probably close to 20 years. Okay, and the prices there are amazing. New tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire, because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. And I'll tell you this, he has to pay a guy per tire to dispose of the tire. I didn't realize that. I thought some recycling guy made money off the old rubber of the old tires. No. And the amount that he has to pay is not inexpensive. It's I was surprised. He told, I can't tell you, but Mike at Friendly Tire told me he has to pay someone per tire to take the old tires away. Okay, but he doesn't charge you to just, that's why, you know, some places charge you for that. He doesn't. So when he gives you a quote over the phone, that's the out the door on the road price. He has a lot of great new tires, of course, all the name brands you know and love, but he has thousands of used tires in stock as well. He has all the name brands at discount prices. Give Friendly Mike a call, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire and Margate. All right, back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi there. My name is Chester. I'm calling from Idaho.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind?
That's good. So back in August, as I'm sure you're aware, President Trump had a meeting with Putin in Alaska, which he promised would bring about an end to the Ukraine war. Of course, he not only failed to stop the bloodshed, but rolled out a red carpet for the man who started it, which is extremely embarrassing. Anyways, today is September 18th. I was just wondering if you felt any regret for titling your August 18th stream covering the meeting, "The War in Ukraine is Over," and if you recognize that you ran that headline because you're a hack and a fake journalist?
No. No regrets.
Okay. Well, you do know that the war in Ukraine wasn't over then, and it's not over a month later, right?
Well, I'm sorry that we have two insane people that won't come to the table and end the wars. President Trump shouldn't try?
Well, yeah, but it's not about them. It's about you running a false headline because you're sloppy.
Yeah.
So why did you do that?
You think I want your? You think I want your? There's nothing I will ever do that you will approve of.
Yeah, me and everyone else with half a brain.
So you're more intelligent than most.
More intelligent than you.
Oh,
clearly.
Okay.
I didn't. It was very.
If that gets you through your day. If that gets you through your day.
It doesn't get me through my day.
You think I care? You think I care? You think I want your approval?
You should care about being a reputable source.
Yeah.
You should care.
I am a reputable source.
No, clearly you're not. You said the war in Ukraine was over a month ago, and it's still not over.
Well, that's a sad thing.
Why did you do that?
That's a sad thing.
It is a sad thing, and also you're not. And also you ran a false headline.
No, it was not a false headline.
Yes, it was. You said the war in Ukraine was over.
First off, I don't run headlines.
Yeah, you titled your stream.
Well, I have titles. I have titles.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
You titled
those are not headlines.
Are you supposed to be a journalist? You're on C-SPAN.
No, I'm not. I'm not a journalist.
Okay, well, shouldn't you?
I'm a talk show host.
People listening to Brian Craig right now, don't you deserve better than that?
Yeah, they deserve you.
Don't you think your audience They deserve me. They don't deserve you.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you have anything
What
else
did
to say for yourself?
I haven't said anything about myself. You think I'm going to defend myself to you? He hung up. I did not hang up on him. Oh my goodness. If you're on hold, stand by. I am bleeding, actually. I got scratched by a cat this morning, and I've got this gash. Kind of look like Scarface Al Capone. I got this gash on my right cheek. I think it might be scabbing up, and it hurts like nobody's business. And I'm trying not to touch it because, you know, those cat scratches itch. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. You're tuned into the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. We'll be right back. All right, let's take some calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, my name is Paul, and I'm from Maryland.
Hey, Paul, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
For me, like, this is not about, I'm not political at all. Like, I divide from that. It does not, I'm 24 years old, and I used to be Republican. Like, for me, I feel like the two-party system is creating division in our country. Division that we don't need. Division that I see is going in factors of people assassinating people.
Well, hold on a second. I'm confused. You're saying that it's caused division. There's always been division.
Yeah, it's causing division.
No. But when in the United States was there not division?
That's not true. United we stand, divided we fall.
That's a phrase. Tell me when in American history where the country was not divided.
Definitely not the Civil War, but...
Well, tell me when. What period? What period? When was the country united?
I'd say the Revolution.
No, there were a bunch... No, in fact, not only during the American Revolution...
You embrace that, dude.
No, in fact, there were... You ever heard of Loyalist? You know, Benedict Arnold... No, there was a big division, and in fact, the Loyalists to England... many of them were tarred and feathered by other colonists during the Revolution. No, there was great division during the American Revolution.
For me, I don't see the whole part of being Republican or Democrat.
Then you'll be a person that doesn't have a voice. Then you won't be taking part in anything.
I do have a voice.
But it doesn't mean anything. It has no influence.
I'm a 24-year-old man.
Yeah. I said if you're not,
you guys are killing each other. Like, and just deal with it if people are going to kill.
No, we're not killing each other. The left are killing MAGA people.
Okay.
What MAGA people? What Democrats? Wait a second. What MAGA people? What MAGA people have killed, and who have they killed?
Dude, you have not seen how they fucking act?
Tell me.
Act crazy.
Tell me. No. You said, slow down, dude. Hold on. Slow down for. All right. Stop talking for a second. Stop talking for a second. What MAGA person has killed? What MAGA person has killed a Democrat? And who did they kill?
Inciting violence, maybe?
You don't know. Okay, there you go. They're killing us. By the way, watch your mouth. You can't use all that language. My goodness. There's always been division because people have different opinions. All right, we'll be back on the air in about a minute. So I'm not going to take any calls till we get back on the break, from the break. That's just a naive child. There was unity during the American Revolution. Are you kidding me? They tarred and feathered other American colonists who were siding with the British. Yeah. Benedict Arnold, an American colonial general who betrayed the colonial army. Right? Now, there was always division. You know, they always say history is written by the victors. Looking back, you may not think there was division, but there has always been division. All right, we got about 20 seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. If you want to call in, the number is toll-free and pinned in the live chat. Oh, man, I tell you. Naive. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. And, of course, we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel being taken off the air. So let's go back to the phones on that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Stephanie. I'm calling from Tennessee. First time catching your show.
Welcome.
So, thank you. I was happy. I'm sorry I missed it when I lived in Florida. You know what? These people like Jimmy Kimmel and all the rest of them, evidently their parents did not teach them respect growing up. And it is their parents' fault. And if I were to run into one of those people and they were to say something that horrible, I would try to remedy the situation.
Well, the thing with Jimmy Kimmel, okay, I'm answering all these lines that are coming in. See, what happened with Jimmy, are you back with me?
I am.
Okay, Jimmy Kimmel was a useful idiot to the left. Years ago, he did a blackface sketch on television. I'm sure this will be in the news and online today. So they've had him always doing their bidding, the liberals, ever since then, because they had that blackface video of him. So they use that as blackmail to get him to say and do whatever it was. And there was one instance, it was either the Oscars or the Emmys. I can't remember which one. I think it was the Oscars. He hosted one of them. And there was a black actor whose name I can't remember. He was on that show Blackish, and he was also on Law and Order, black actor. He came out and dressed Jimmy Kimmel down on racial issues while he was hosting that awards. It was either the Emmys or the Oscars. I've never seen anything like it. So,
wow.
Yeah, you guys can look all that up. But because he did that blackface sketch so many years ago, they've always, not that he's not a liberal, but he's always had to say and do whatever the left wanted him to say because of that. Or they would have taken him off the air. Yeah, he got away with the blackface because he would go on television and say things like he did about Charlie Kirk.
Wow. You know what, then, if that's the case and I was Jimmy Kimmel, I would tell everybody how they blackmailed me.
Yeah.
I would tell the world about it and say, hey, I'm a liberal, but they made me put forth this agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking of blackface, do you remember on Saturday Night Live when Tim Curry painted Eddie Murphy's face white with shoe polish?
What they had a sketch. I remember this. I was like in high school when Eddie Murphy was I remember this sketch so well. I used to watch, Saturday Night Live
it was fun then.
Well,
it was good then.
Saturday, yeah, it was. But Saturday Night Live is really made for middle school and high school kids, immature people. And they had this sketch where Eddie Murphy went undercover as a white person, and they put him in whiteface, and he went through his day as a white man. It was hilarious. And I'm not going to walk through the whole sketch, but I'm sure it's online. Go and watch it. He played a guy named Mr. White.
I'll have to catch that.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, welcome. I'm glad you found me, and call me again sometime.
Hey, thank you so much, and I'm enjoying this show. I like the talk.
Well, thank you. All right, take care. All right, if you would like to call in and weigh in on the Jimmy Kimmel removal from the air, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, hold on. Let me answer these other lines here. Ringing off the hook. All right, go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm calling from West Germany.
Welcome. West Germany. What are you calling from the 80s?
No.
Is this call from the past? West Germany. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, since the wall fell. Yeah,
West Germany.
Yeah, we still identify differently.
Really?
From like West and East.
You're German? You're a German?
No, I'm American, but I migrated.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's on your mind?
I don't know. It's just, I feel like if you sympathize for terrorism, I feel like there's consequences to that. Not necessarily saying that there's anything against the First Amendment for doing so, but I don't know. All these people getting worked up about I got fired for saying this and that. It's
who do you
kind of the
who
shoe
are
on
you,
the other foot.
who is sympathetic to terrorists that you're talking about?
Well, there are those who were glorifying the death of Charlie.
Yeah, Democrats.
And yeah, I guess even if you claim not to be a Democrat, it goes beyond your political spectrum in that sense that if this is just a hard line, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jimmy Kimmel just learned, and also I wonder, are others, are other liberals that have platforms going to learn from Jimmy Kimmel's removal from the air and stop laughing about a political assassination, the first one in this country in 57 years?
No. And here's my reasoning is the reason that they don't do that is they disassociate what happened as some sort of necessary evil, or in their mind, the people that they are against, no matter how moderate or right you are on the political spectrum, is you are the absolute evil in their mind. You must be stopped. And there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
It's mostly they don't even have that opinion. A lot of the opinions that they were given were just told to them by their friends and colleagues that these are the opinions that we have. It's an ethos that we must be against this.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just hyperbole, it gets all sort of blown out of proportion that these things happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, the shooter, the assassin of Charlie Kirk was inspired to do it by the Democrats. You're calling from Germany, right? So the Democrats have been calling Charlie Kirk and Trump Hitler. They've been calling them fascist and Hitler for years. So what's happened here is this assassin thought he was killing Hitler. So who's against killing Hitler? They think that's a good thing.
Exactly. And what's funny is you couldn't say that willy-nilly over here. Over here, the only way you can call someone a fascist or a Nazi, well, fascist is whatever, but Nazis if they have to actually be a Nazi.
Yes.
Otherwise, that is a crime.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get into First Amendment or freedom of speech rights over here, but
well, yeah, and you can't display the swastika over there, and lunatics over here can. But this is the reality. And the reason there are so many people in America on the left celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk is because they think he was Hitler. And who would be against assassinating Hitler? That's how they justify it, and that's pretty twisted. Pretty twisted, and even after they're keeping the inciting of this violence going on the left.
I think what they don't realize, of course, if anyone went back in time, and everyone says if I could kill Hitler when he was with his brown shirts,
or as a
making
baby,
a muck over in Munich, And even then, it's like, we want to get into philosophical, whatever. But if you were to go back in time and say, we should stop that guy. He's a obviously bad guy, resulted in millions of deaths. Obviously, that's a net good to kill him. But they don't understand the rationalization of equivalent. This is a false equivalency. They don't see that.
Well, people that are, criminals and mentally, they don't see the wrong. Like if most people that are violent criminals are mentally ill. So when somebody robs you, there's an armed robbery, you're robbed. They think that they're just taking their money from you. They don't even view it as a robbery. So people justify. Most people that do evil things don't think of themselves as evil people. They find ways to justify it. Okay, and in this instance, well, Charlie Kirk and Trump are Hitler. You know, so that's how they justify it. You know, hey, listen, I got to run for a break, but welcome to the program, and call me again sometime.
All right, have a good one.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, hang in there. Very busy phones. One opening on our board at 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Mike Lindell and MyPillow, who's been a strong sponsor of this program and all the content I bring to you for so many years. And there's just great deals going on. And I wanted to talk about the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper at MyPillow.com, which there's a massive discount. There's like a 50, let's see here, 50, I can't see the original, it's almost $60 off. You know, I have the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper, huge discount on it. I've had it for many, many years. And what it does, the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper turns your mattress into a big MyPillow, okay? It will change the way you live your life, because if you think you've gotten a good night's sleep, you haven't until you sleep on the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. It's amazing. By the way, you get it with free shipping with my promo code Kane. So with my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com, not only do you get a great discount on the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper, you also get free shipping for the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. First night I slept on it, I remember it was a Saturday, and I woke up on Sunday and the sun was out. I never slept in until the sun was out on the weekends. I would always wake up while it was dark until I got my 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. So if you have a lumpy, bumpy mattress, a lopsided mattress, don't get a new mattress. Get the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. Comes in every mattress size. Go to MyPillow.com. Use my promo code Kane at checkout. Free shipping, plus a huge discount as well. We'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, it's $49.99 off. I was right. Thank you so much, Peter, for this super chat. All right, let's take a call while we're in break. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. It's Richie. Good morning.
Hey,
Brian.
Richie, what's up?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why Jimmy Kimmel's off the air. I'm going to try to. Here's the deal. When you go out and you want to drive on the roads anywhere in the United States, you have to take a driver's test. You have to pass that test, and there are rules. Okay, there are rules. You just can't just do 100 miles an hour any way you want. You know, in other words, you have to abide by the rules.
Yep.
Brian on the radio station has something that Jimmy Kimmel should have thought about. Brian's got a dump button that he uses all the time.
Yes.
Now, Brian will curse once in a while, but not while he's on the air.
That's right.
There's community standards.
Correct.
There's community standards, people. You just can't say what you want. They're licensed. ABC is a license. They just don't have free, they can't just, because they're dealing with everybody, not just themselves.
And it was the liberal Democrats that gave us the FCC to control speech. FDR did it.
Yeah, so it's not free speech. So all these idiots that say, well, it's free, it's not free speech. There's community standards all over the United States. You have children listening. You influence people. Just like on the radio station, when you call up and you start cursing and Brian's got to dump you because you got a foul mouth. Well, Brian will curse when he's on his own podcast once in a while. Everyone does, but at that point, it's not a license that he's worried about. It's the standards of the platform.
Yeah, that's why on cable news, like the other night, Greg Gutfeld used some profanity towards Tarloff because it's cable.
And if it was coming over the television station, it would be bleeped.
Yes.
It would be bleeped. Mm-hmm. So there are standards, and Jimmy Kimmel and the Democratic Party and ABC News, Stephanopoulos, all of them, when they call people Hitler, they're offending half the country. It's an offensive thing, and they're licensed, and they got to watch their mouth. They have to watch what they say. They just can't do what they want and say what they want.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. That's why he should have lost his job a long time ago. And it's not because of feelings, and it's not because he did something against us. He did something against America.
He did something against that license that they signed, that ABC signed that license, and they might lose their darn license. So then they can go on, they can stream it, and they can say whatever they want when they go on stream. But that license is very important to them because of advertising.
Well, plus, I talk about this from time to time. You know, a lot of my content is on the internet, and you may hear me drop some profanities from time to time, but I still stick within.
Once in a while.
But I still stick into what I consider to be broadcast standards. Maybe it's out of habit, or maybe it's just because I have class, you know. But you know, you have to, when you have, you know, I just looked, 2.4 million people watched me just on YouTube in the last 28 days. 2.4 million people. That's just on YouTube. That's not my podcast, and that's not the radio stations. So when you have when you're talking, I've told this to you, Richie, we're coming back. So you want to hold on after the break and talk?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Stand by. We're going to be back in about 20 seconds, and I'll begin with my thought, and then we'll continue. Okay, stand by.
Yeah, that dump button is very important.
Hold on. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I got Richie the bus driver on the line. We're talking about Jimmy Kimmel. If you're on hold, stand by. You know, I wanted to talk, you know, I've had this discussion with you many times over the years, Richie, and I think you woke up to it a few years ago, so we haven't had this talk in a while.
Yeah.
But when you say things to your buddy in your living room or in the backyard or at a bar or a restaurant, you're talking to 2, 3, 4, 5 people, it's not the same as what I do or Jimmy Kimmel. And just this in the last 28 days, I just looked because I get to my online audience. Okay, I get very exact numbers. Just on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show. This does not include the radio stations, and it does not include my podcast on all the podcast platforms. This is just my YouTube channel. Over 2.4 million people have watched me on YouTube in the past 28 days. That's a lot of people. And in fact, the exact number, and just and I'm making a point here. I'm not bragging, okay? I get these numbers every month, and I don't normally talk about them. In the last 28 days, this is just on my YouTube channel, 2,492,779 people have watched me on YouTube alone in the last 28 days. When you're talking to almost 3 million people, 2.5 million people, you've got to have some responsibility. It's not talking to your buddies in the living room or in the break room. And when you're talking to a group that large, like Jimmy Kimmel, right? You know, you've got to have some standards and practices. And one of the reasons that this assassination happened is because the left in the media have been calling Charlie Kirk and President Trump Hitler for a decade. And this assassin thought he was killing Hitler. So no one's against killing Hitler. That's a good killing Hitler. Well, yeah, give the guy a medal, right? You know. So what Jimmy Kimmel and these others have been doing is inciting others to go out and commit violence, and that can't be tolerated.
Yeah, that's what. The reaction, and I call it the left. The reaction of these people is definitely because of not just the internet. It's because of people like Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, that's their reaction. So they have to be responsible. They're working for a company that has a license over the air. They just can't, like I said, they just can't get a driver's license and do what they want on the road. They share the road with America, everybody. So you have to have guidelines. If you do what you want, it's a free-for-all. And they can't have that. They're licensed. And Jimmy Kimmel broke the license, and ABC is actually very worried they're going to get pulled.
Yeah.
The license will be pulled because they've been warned already with Stephanopoulos.
And you know what?
That's another thing.
You take it. If you take it out of the realm of politics. You know, I talked to a caller earlier. I'm wearing a Star Wars Hawaiian shirt right now, and I'm obviously a Star Wars fan. Not this woke Disney crap that they put out, but I grew up with the original Star Wars, saw it in the theater. If at the top of the hour I come out of the break and I start talking about Star Wars for an hour, what do you think's going to happen to me? I'm just talking about Star Wars. What would happen if I started doing that?
Half your audience would drop off.
Well, what would the radio station do? What would the radio station do?
They would be
Oh, they would tell you. Hey, listen, you can't do what you're doing, what you want.
Exactly. We love you, Brian, but you can't talk. You can't talk about Star Wars. So, has my free speech been violated? If they tell me I can't talk about Star Wars?
No, because you're working for a company that signs a license.
There you go. They own it. They own it. They own it. So exactly.
Yeah. So they have to protect themselves. Jimmy Kimmel has to go. All these people that are the Sunday shows, all of this that's on major TV networks and the internet, all influences these crazies after the fact that Charlie was assassinated. The reason Charlie was assassinated is one thing, but the reaction is 10 times even worse. I never thought I'd see people stomping on candles and basically on his grave and talking the way they're talking. I remember when President Trump, they had that play, and that lady held President Trump's bloody head up. That was wrong too. And they love to put that out there. I mean, this is just disgusting already, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop. It wasn't like that in the 50s. They used to talk about Leave It to Beaver and Ozzie and Harriet.
Yeah.
But the country wasn't as violent as today, and there's got to be a reason why they talk about these drugs that we're taking that causes violence. Their mouth causes a lot of violence.
Yeah.
And they got to watch what they say. I mean, they got to be responsible.
It's called responsible broadcasting.
Exactly.
You've got to be a responsible broadcaster and
community standards, not your own standards.
And I have seen. I was talking. You'll remember this. There was a guy on the radio in Miami who was very famous. I'm not talking about Neil. I'm talking about Hank Goldberg. Hank Goldberg was a sport.
Yeah, he was a sports guy.
He was a sports
guy.
He was a sports talk guy. And he was very big. He had a show in Miami on WQAM, and he was also on ESPN. He was very famous nationally. It seemed like once a month or two, he'd get suspended from his radio show because he'd say something on the show that the company that owned the radio station didn't like. It happened all the time, and nobody said free speech. You've got to have responsible people out there. And when there's an assassination and there are people out there shooting MAGA people, and you're cheering them on, egging them on, and excusing it, that's not responsible. All right, Richie, I got to run.
Have a good morning.
All right, take care. Did I just violate Richie's free speech by ending the call? He'd like to be here till 9. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee.
Yeah, so first of all, you guys, you are giving yourself so much credit for how many people are listening to your show. One of the things you should do is try to get some information so you don't disinform the people. One of the things that you really have no idea what you're talking about. Do you know what being a Jew means? You know what that word
We're not
comes
talking
from?
about that today. We're not talking about that. We're talking, no, sorry, excuse me. We're not talking about that. It's not what we're talking about. Sorry. Did I just violate his free speech, or did I take control of the show because we have a dialogue going? All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Brian Weiss. Good to meet you.
Yes, Brian.
I'm from Austin, Texas.
Brian in Austin, Texas. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the platform that the Charlie Kirk assassination.
You got to speak louder. You got to talk a little louder.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay. Wonderful. I wanted to talk about the Steam group, about not the Steam group. I wanted to talk about the platform, Steam Gaming, where there's lots of censorship and there is lots and lots of conversations going on. And I made a post on the 8th, unknowing that this was going to happen, I named it Woke. I titled it Woke. And I got all these reactions, and I had no idea that I would get such a visceral reaction after the 10th, after the middle of the day. But something occurred to me that even before Charlie's death, all morning, people were debating about free speech, or people were trying to shut each other off. And then as soon as Charlie passed away and a couple hours passed, people were having debates and arguments, but real debate. But Steam was still there moderating, and they didn't. I was surprised they didn't delete what I had to say. It was mostly just an opinion about how I didn't like how they changed the characters mid-development.
Okay. All right. I have no idea what. All right. Appreciate the call, but he's talking nonsense to me. All right. Hold on. If you're on hold, stand by. I just looked at the clock. It's time to take a break. I want to talk about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. Well, I remember I met Dr. Appleton, I don't know, a little more than 3 years ago. And there was a guy at the radio station. He says, hey, there's this doctor. His name's Dr. Appleton. He's got this laser treatment that can rid you of pain. He says, do you have any pains, Brian? Are you suffering from any pains? I said, yeah. I said, my right knee, I've been suffering from pain for 30 years. He says, well, let's go over and let me introduce you to Dr. Appleton. I'd never met him before, never heard of him. He didn't know me. And I go there, and Dr. Appleton examines me and everything else, and he says, okay, let's go. I'm gonna get rid of that pain. I'm gonna treat you with the laser. And I said, okay. And I'll tell you, I was skeptical. I never heard of this before. And it was on a Thursday. I remember clearly. It was a Thursday. And he treated me. I woke up the next day. The pain was already going away. He treated me again on Saturday. And when I woke up on Sunday, the pain was gone. And I was on the radio Monday telling you how after 30 years of suffering with pain in my right knee, I'm now living a pain-free life. And since then, he's rid me of pain 6 other times, sometimes the arthritis, sometimes from injuries, falling off my skateboard and stuff. And it is absolutely amazing. And I have met so many of our listeners over the 3+ years that after I first met Dr. Appleton, that are living a pain-free life too. And let me tell you, living with pain, it sucks. It sucks. It really does. But I live pain-free now. And I often think, what would my life be if I never met Dr. Appleton? It wouldn't be good. I'd be suffering, and it would really be rough. But thank you, Dr. Appleton, for ridding me of pain 7 times. Give him a call, and you can do the same. And if you have x-rays or scans that you have for injuries, bring them with you. If you're thinking of having surgery, go see Dr. Appleton first, right? People, now I'm not a doctor, but I do know people that have gotten all kinds of surgeries. Oh, my knee hurts. I'm getting knee surgery. My shoulder, my back, all this stuff. And everyone that I've known personally that's gone out and gotten surgery for pain, next time I see them, it's like, well, how's that knee? How's your back? How's your shoulder? Oh, I've got my second surgery scheduled in 6 weeks. Second surgery? The first one didn't work. You're going to get another surgery? Go see Dr. Appleton, all right? His number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on
Hey, this is Bart from Orlando, Florida. How you doing today, Brian?
All right, Orlando. What's on your mind?
A couple things. I wanted to start with a question. So I see the hat on your head.
Yes.
And
Trump
I am
2028.
I'm old enough to remember when presidents were only allowed to run for 2 terms. I guess I want to start with a sanitizing sanity question. Is that rage bait, unironic? What are we doing?
What do you mean, rage bait?
Is the hat rage bait, or do you unironically support the president?
I support Congress changing the Constitution to end presidential term limits.
Okay, so I just want to ask a question to do some checking for standards. Would you have accepted this if Obama had ordered Congress to do the same in 2012?
I didn't say anything about ordering. I didn't say Trump should order them. I think that the Congress should take a vote, and let's let the Congress decide.
Okay, wait. Well,
I'm not talking about ordering Congress.
Let's leave ordering outside of it then. Do you think that Congress should be able to vote for something that is explicitly unconstitutional?
Yeah, the Constitution's been amended 27 times. So a constitutional amendment begins in the Congress.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just checking for standards. Let's remove the ordering then. Obama is cleared to run for a 3rd term.
Awesome. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be
No,
awesome.
that's fine.
That'd be awesome.
That's fine. I'm just checking standards.
What do you mean standards? I'm done with your
standards.
questions here. I'm not here to, to live up to your standards. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll be coming back. We're in a break. Just checking standards. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, these people. All right, we'll be back in a few seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, and it's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. If you're watching with the green behind me, go to my main stream, and you can see and hear all the video and audio I play. The link is in the description, okay? All right, stand by. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. And, of course, we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel and what happened. Glorious day. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? Scotty from Florida.
Hey, Scott.
Listen, I just wanted to let you know that there was a connection, and I don't know whether, because I've been on hold for a while, there was a connection with Brendan Carr, the FCC chairman.
Yeah, I know. He did an interview. I know about that. He did an interview. Yeah.
So, I just wish the people need to think.
But that's an FCC commissioner, right?
Right. But
so it's his job. Yeah. The FCC's job is to monitor broadcast television. So he's within his job. It's not like he's gone out of his realm of authority and done something. He's an FCC commissioner.
No, he did the right thing. And I just happened to be watching that incident in Pennsylvania, and then I all of a sudden saw the other stuff came breaking across the news with Kimmel. They should have done that with Colbert too right away.
Well, what's happened is this is what you got to understand. The left, through their rhetoric, have incited violence that's led to an assassination and a president being shot. Okay?
Yes.
So you don't have the freedom to incite violence. And that's what the left have been doing since even after the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. But I mean, it's crazy. But it's just...
it's hard to believe that they've been doing it. I've never seen anything quite like it, but it's been happening.
And then you have our people in Congress who are basically, they need to be put under control too, but they can say anything they want. But,
well, when a congressperson is on the floor of Congress, they have total freedom. They can say anything. There's no consequences. While they're on the floor, speaking officially on the floor.
Right, but and I saw the way the last couple of days with Kash Patel dealing with Congress. It was in the hearings,
mm-hmm.
and it was crazy the way they basically attacked him. But he's the first one. He's the first witness that basically went back after him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
yep.
I do appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, thanks for the call. If you're on hold, hang in there. Let me play some of the audio I had because there's a lot. This is Brian Stelter at CNN about the Kimmel. He hasn't been fired. He's been removed from the air indefinitely.
Kimmel was expressing what we've heard some other liberals say in recent days, that the motives are unclear and that maybe the suspect in this case was a Republican or was some sort of far-right fringe figure. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion about that in recent days. There's a lot of evidence pointing in other directions about the suspect. But Kimmel was on the air talking about this, making a very serious commentary amid his jokes in his monologue Monday night. Here's where it became interesting earlier today. The FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, went on a far-right webcast.
Benny Johnson, far-right. He was interviewed by Benny Johnson.
And condemned Kimmel and urged ABC to suspend him. He also talked about possible regulatory punishments of Disney because there are lots of different stations that have licenses with the FCC. Within the past hour, we've heard from a big owner of stations that have affiliations with ABC, a company called Nexstar, saying that they were going to suspend Kimmel's show on their station. So in other words, about 24 stations were refusing to air Kimmel's show tonight as a result of this controversy. And then following word that some of those stations were basically revolting against Kimmel, Disney, the parent company of ABC, decided to yank the show entirely.
Okay, so a couple things here. He was not removed by the government. You know, the First Amendment to the Constitution, it protects you from the government silencing speech. However, there still are limitations. Okay. He was removed from the air by his employer who owns the stations and the network. That's it. There's no free speech violation. You know, Howard Stern's been in the news. He used to get in trouble all the time with the FCC. Howard Stern. That's why one of the reasons he went to the other thing. Right? And I don't remember people talking about free speech then. They talked about irresponsible broadcasting is what they talked about. Okay? You know, there's some issues, and after the top of the hour, I'll play more audio, and I do have some other things I'm going to touch on. And Steve's going to be back with us today. And I have this. I hope this stops bleeding. I was scratched by a cat this morning. I've got this massive gash on my right cheek that itches so much. You know how I'm fighting urges to itch because if I scratch that cat scratch, I'll be paying for it, right? But you know, with this issue, everyone knows that ABC did the right thing, even the liberals. Okay, and it's almost, I feel almost foolish discussing it because it's not an issue where there's two sides. It's just the way that it is. There's not two sides to this issue. I'm sorry to tell you. And you know what? You all know it. You just hate MAGA people. And you know, one of the things that's going on with the very small Democrat Party, because it's very small these days, the Democrats thought that they were going to be running the country for the next 200 years. The fact that President Trump has come back to a second term is so insanely crazy that it's happened, isn't it? I still can't believe it sometimes. I was watching the president with King Charles yesterday, and it just blew my freaking mind. I just can't believe it. It's crazy, isn't it? You know why? Because it's a miracle. And look at what they've tried to do to, you know, I'm not going to go through the list. You know everything they tried to do to stop him from coming back, including shooting him. And a lot of these liberals around the country, we have adults running the country now. And I was watching the cabinet meeting the other day. It was the one where the president was signing the order changing the Defense Department to the War Department. And the whole cabinet was there, pretty much, the senior cabinet. And they're standing behind the president. I talked about this on the show at the time. I said, look, the grown-ups are running the country again. And what's happened around the country, you know, liberals they're threatening and try to intimidate. Did you hear that? There was a guy that called me that I was talking to a little bit ago, and he was asking me questions about my Trump 2028 hat. He's like, I'm checking standards. Okay, I'm checking standards. What do you think he was doing? You know what he was doing? He was trying to intimidate me. He was trying to intimidate me as if something I'm saying is wrong, illegal, a violation, and he's doing a standards check. That was a threatening phone call. You may not have realized it, but I realized it. And sometimes you'll hear that. The liberals threaten and intimidate people. Remember I was talking yesterday about Jesse Jackson and his shakedowns? He used to go to these companies. He'd go to these major corporations and say, donate money to my Rainbow Push Coalition, or I'm going to call you and your company racist, and we're going to have protest here. And I'm going to be all over national television talking about it. You know, and he would do these shakedowns. Well, the wokesters have been intimidating media and major companies for a long, long time, for the last several years. And this country is really not a liberal country. It's a conservative country. But liberals are overrepresented in media and some other places, and they put pressure on people. So we don't just have the adults back in charge of the government with the Trump administration. A lot of people that run these companies like ABC, we're seeing right now, or a couple of weeks ago, Cracker Barrel, they're able to see, wow, you know, these wokesters that have been trying to threaten us, like that caller with the standards I was just talking to, you know, they're a minority. They thought they were the majority. They're a minority. They have no power. They have no influence. We don't have to be intimidated by them. We can do what's right. We can be proud of our country. We can condemn, and that's what's happening here. You know, one of the big things that's going on in Trump's second term is, you know, making America great again covers so many things. But one of the things that's happening, you'll hear me reference from time to time, there's a major American reset going on. We're a reset back to normal, right? A reset back to normal. And that's where we're going right now. Okay, 1 hour down, 2 to go. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break and be right back. Okay, so let me get to some. I got a little bit of time here during the break. Let's see here. Yeah, I got some time. Let me play some of this audio. Here's the president. Listen to this. He's talking about the big, beautiful bill. Listen to this.
So I don't know if anybody's told you, but we had dinner with Senator Crapo yesterday.
Yes.
He said this incredible thing. When the CBO originally priced the big, beautiful bill, they thought it was minus $3 trillion. They just updated it because they have to, and it's actually a surplus.
Oh, yeah.
It's like $300 billion. It's an incredible thing.
Well, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tariffs.
Yeah.
The money is coming in at levels that nobody ever thought possible. You know, they gave us no credit for that because it was never done before. And now the numbers are much higher than anybody ever thought.
Okay, and isn't that a little exchange there? By the way, if you're watching on the live stream with the green behind me, if you go to my main stream, where the main chat is, you can see and hear all the audio and video I play. The direct link's in the description of the video, those of you watching with the green behind me. So we have a $300 billion surplus. That's just, by the way, that's from the big, beautiful bill. You know? Everything that President Trump is doing is so great for this country. From the big, beautiful bill all the way to this Jimmy Kimmel axing at ABC. It's amazing. And returning the country to normal, that's a good thing. We've been run by freaks and geeks, especially the last 4 years. I mean, you look at what, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take calls when we get back on the radio. We're on a radio station break right now, but I'm continuing the discussion during the break. But I want to give you guys some good airtime, so hang in there. But you look at the different things that are going on. As an example, the drug cartel boats that the president's shooting down. There are no more drug cartel boats coming into the country. They have stopped it. They have stopped it because they blew 2 out of the water. The first one they did it. The second one the cartels were testing. They blew it up, and that's it. They've stopped. How can you be against stopping drug cartels, which are front groups for China, right, to bring down our country? Who's against that? Liberals. Everything President Trump is doing is beautiful and spectacular and making the country greater each and every day. Let me see what time we're coming back. Okay, we got about 90 seconds and we'll be back. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I don't want to have to be short with you. And there's some major updates, too, that I'm going to get into on what we were talking about yesterday with Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, and some of those things. By the way, how many of you are going to be watching the memorial service on Sunday of Charlie Kirk? Oh, boy, that's going to be a tough watch, isn't it? I was surprised that Tucker Carlson, he's on the list of speakers there. After what he was saying this week, I would have thought they would have removed him from the list of speakers, but he's going to be up there on the big stage. He'll behave himself. We'll be back in 1 minute. So if you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. That's scratch looking. How's that looking, guys? Can you tell? Oh, my goodness. No, Haku did this. He was behind my computer monitors just about to rip out the wires by mistake. There's a lot of wires, and I got lights and everything here. And he was getting tangled in them, and I picked him up, and he panicked, and he scratched me. And it was bleeding. Oh, look what I got in the mail this morning. It was on my doorstep. Look at this. This hoodie. I just got this. If I would have gotten it yesterday, I'd be wearing it. It's a great hoodie. And then the back. The second hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Callers on hold, you stand by. We'll continue to take calls, and I do have a lot of audio involving Jimmy Kimmel, but I want to share something from Netanyahu. Netanyahu released a statement. You know, they're blaming Israel, these anti-Semites, for killing Charlie Kirk. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, felt that he needed to speak out on it. This is Netanyahu.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
Okay, wow.
Joseph
Netanyahu's obviously talking about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and he said something there at the end. These people peddling these lies that Israel had something to do with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Maybe they're being paid by Qatar. We keep hearing that, huh? You know, I was very surprised. The list of speakers for the big Charlie Kirk memorial on Sunday at the stadium in Arizona, which I'll be watching, as will the rest of the country. I was surprised to see Tucker Carlson on the list of speakers after what he's been saying the last couple of days. All right, let's go to the phones. Our number is toll-free 888-465-2631. Do you think that Tucker Carlson should still be permitted to speak at the Charlie Kirk memorial on Sunday? And, of course, you're welcome to call in about Jimmy Kimmel as well. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, yeah.
I can hardly hear you, but anyway.
All right, go ahead, Doug. I hit the wrong button. You're on the air.
No more Jimmy Kimmel. Now next we got to get some of the liars out from CNN and MSNBC, then vote out the squad people and some of the other Democrats, and the country will be a much better position and much better place than we are right now. This is great. But the other thing I was going to mention, you mentioned your 2028 hat.
Yes.
Well, most of the times I wear my 2028, everybody gives me a salute. Finally, somebody came over and says, "Are you against the Constitution?" I says, "No way." Well, what do you got that hat on for? You know, Trump can't run in 20 years against the Constitution. I says, "This is just an idea to change the Constitution." Well, you want him in? He's in the pocket of Israel. I said, you know, you guys. Plus, he was in the pocket of Russia. Now he's in the pocket of Israel. Get out of here. And then we just start talking about other stuff, but they don't want to admit to anything.
Yeah, I know, and I'll tell you, you know, I have I have a very large MAGA hat collection, right? I've got a whole collection of Make America Great Again hats. I've got Alligator Alcatraz, Drill Baby Drill.
Yep.
There's nothing that freaks the liberals out more than the Trump 2028 hat. And the reason it's just the idea that he might run again just totally freaks them out, right? I mean, they just become. You heard the guy that called me earlier. I'm just checking standards. What checking standards? You know, give me a break.
Like a standard. Yeah, man. I tell you, if everybody starts wearing the 2020 hat, I think it's a great publicity, a great advertising campaign to get people to start thinking the right way. And I don't see why we can't do it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, listen, even if Trump does not run in 2028, which I very much would like him to be able to,
me too, man.
there will not, for the rest of his life, there will not be a Republican president that does not have his endorsement. And for many decades after that, there will not be a Republican president who does not have the endorsement of the Trump family. So Don Jr., one day Barron, Tiffany, all of them. Okay, so so they're all going to be President Trumps to some degree. Do you understand what I mean?
Oh yeah. This is the Trump influence, and it's certainly. I think the majority of the people, Democrats included, would like to see President Trump stay in office.
That's right.
Because he's doing a fantastic job. And Cass Patel, I just want to say that closing. Cass Patel, what a guy.
Well, let me tell you, yesterday, Cash Patel cleaned the clock of the House members yesterday. I can't play too much of it because there's a lot of profanity there. Sometimes by Cash Patel. Him and Swalwell was my favorite. But and the day before he did good with the senators too. But yesterday, what the Democrats did in the House yesterday was so disgusting. They were going on and on asking questions about Jeffrey Epstein. That was the most common thing that came out of the mouth of the Democrats with Cash Patel's hearing yesterday. And the reason they did that is because the president is being honored by the King of England, King Charles, and Epstein's a big story in England because of Prince Andrew. So they knew, and I heard Piers Morgan and other Brits say they have never seen an honor guard and honoring of a leader like this. This was very much above anything they've ever done or even seen. And these are old timers. And what the Democrats were trying to do was get Trump and Epstein in all the British papers, because Epstein's a big thing because of Prince Andrew over there, There's such low-life, disgusting, just scumbuckets. Here, our president is being honored at a level that's never happened before by the King of England, and they're trying to screw it up. I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. I understand that they're Democrats and they got to do something to go against what we're saying. But, man, you think they would have somebody a little smarter to give them a little better guidance, because what they're doing is just turning everybody off. They're turning everybody off. They're their own kind. They're like, oh, man. I'm like one of the liberals I know. I'm no longer a Democrat. Okay, I never thought. I said, welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a Republican.
All right, Doug. I'm gonna let you go, but I appreciate the call. All right, take care. By the way, when I hang up on you, am I violating your First Amendment right of free speech, like the liberals are saying Jimmy Kimmel was when I let you go? I don't know. All right, take care. You're on the air.
That he's full of shit.
No, there you go. Dump button there. Oh my goodness. He didn't even get on the air, and he's calling me that. I had to hit the dump. Second time we had to hit the dump button today. Oh my goodness. That was a good one. I wish we didn't, but that's we got standards here. That guy. That was one of my favorite calls that I've had in a long time. He's talking to somebody about me while he's on hold to talk to me, telling whoever he's talking to that I'm full of S. That's awesome. That's the best. Oh my goodness. We're inspiring conversations. If you're on hold, stand by. I am waiting for the delay to re-engage, okay? I wanted to pull up something, though, while we're waiting. Where is that clip that I wanted? Oh yes, okay. Eric Bolling was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast yesterday. Anyway, if you're on hold, hang in there while the delay re-engages. You know what? It's time to take a break. Let's take the break. When we come back, the delay will be re-engaged. We'll get to your calls and Eric Bowling from Patrick Bet David. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It's an amazing thing. You know, there was a guy that called 2 days ago, at very end of the show, and he says, Brian, I saw you on Inauguration Day at Wings Plus. I just saw you on YouTube today. First time I've seen you since then. And boy, oh boy, you've lost a lot of weight. Heck yeah, I have. And I was telling you guys, I am down to the weight I was 29 years ago when I got married. My stomach is flat. I was getting a belly and I think, well, I'm 54. That's just part of being 54. It's not. I've got a flat stomach. I've lost inches off my waist. I'm wearing a pair of jeans that used to fit tight a few months ago, and now I don't have a belt on, so they're falling down because I've lost all this weight without exercise, eating foods I would normally eat, without starving myself, without any medications or shots or anything. In fact, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you can lose 10 to 20% of your body fat in 60 days. So give them a call. My results are typical with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Give them a call and set up your free consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. Oh, man. During the break, I'll play. This is Eric Bowling on Patrick Bet David yesterday talking, if you're on hold, hang in there, talking about Candace Owens. And I did not know this. Eric Bowling's on the board of Turning Point.
Early on, 2011, 2012, 2013, they were tight. They grew TPUSA like crazy. I was shocked to see her leave until being part of TPUSA. Her theories got just a little bit too down the rabbit holes. It was too extreme for their taste. And Charlie, to his credit, kept a cordial friendship with her for years, but it hasn't been a communication pipeline back and forth between the two for many years. That's why I don't know why we give Candace Owens' assessment any weight at all.
You're on the board of Turning Point?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Candace Owens?
In person?
Yeah.
2015, 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
When's the last time she was at a Turning Point event?
Not in many years.
Okay.
But
so let's without even being biased.
There's
Candace even involved in Charlie Kirk's life at all?
No question, proof that Candace Owens has nothing to do.
Something?
She would be in a perfect world if they didn't have this. What I already know was a very quiet breakup where she got too rabbit hole for him. She would be
now breakup. I thought they were a couple back then. Were they? Do you think they were a couple, Charlie and Candace? When he said breakup,
rabbit hole for him, she would be the logical heir to the TPUSA throne, but she's not.
And now she's not even invited.
Correct. So this is so their divide is.
Wait a minute, not invited meaning
she's not even there.
Yeah, she's not
there.
One of the names.
Wait, you don't think she'll be at the funeral?
No.
That's
I mean
not the funeral.
The heir to the TPUSA throne.
She doesn't speak at the events anymore.
I mean, Erica.
That's a reason
Erica
for
Kirk.
that.
I mean,
what is Erica Kirk's relationship with Candace at this point? Is there a relationship?
I don't think so.
Why do you not think so?
Because I live in this world.
Okay.
I live in
you
this.
know this world. Tell us.
I don't see them together. I don't think. I think Candace has created a lane for herself. Yeah. It's her own lane. She wants to go after Macron's husband or wife or whatever you want to call him. She wants. I agree that I think it's cheap that she is sparking this up like she knows something between something happened between Ackman and Charlie. For what reason?
Here's what I would say. To me,
money.
There you go. I mean, that's something. I had no idea. So we got some information here. But I shared that because he said breakup. And I've often thought that they were... when back in those days, for some reason, I thought they were a couple. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But I thought they were back then. What do you guys think? And because he used breakup, which is such a strange...
I brought something.
Word. Now, I'm going to share something when we get back. From the break. Let's see. What time are we coming back? We got a minute. Just over a minute we'll be back. So I'll do this when we get back. And if you're on hold, stand by. because I'm not too happy with this, and I've never heard what I'm going to share with you. Not only am I not happy with it, I want to ask you guys what you think about it. And I was very surprised at this. Did you guys listen to Charlie Kirk's show yesterday? I'm going to play a clip of Charlie Kirk's show from yesterday. And I don't know how this came to be. I don't know how this came to be. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number is, we'll be back in about 30 seconds. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All right, hold on. Okay. Stand by. 15 seconds. Welcome back, one and all. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977. If you're on hold, stand by. I wanted to share something with you. You know, the Charlie Kirk Show has had a series of guest hosts. They're keeping the show intact and the studio. Monday, the vice president. Yesterday, his producer was there with Ben Shapiro. And yesterday, hosting the Charlie Kirk Show was Glenn Beck. And I like this idea, and every time I see it, I wish they would have done this to Rush Limbaugh's show, that they would have kept the Rush Limbaugh show intact and just had some guest hosts that rotated like this, you know, and maybe eventually a cast of regulars, and that's what'll happen here. But Glenn Beck did something that shocked the living daylights out of me. That when I saw this, let me pull this up. So Glenn Beck, he's broadcasting. You know what? Yeah, I think he's filling in for Charlie Kirk here on the Charlie Kirk Show. Yeah, and Glenn Beck, he's filling in for Charlie Kirk on Charlie Kirk's show yesterday, which is on after his. And he did something which blew my mind, which you'll hear in this audio that I'm going to play in a moment. But he did not sit in Charlie Kirk's chair. He sat in a guest chair. And that's out of respect. You know, I would do the same thing. But he pulled something out of a box that it just blew my mind. Listen to this. This is Glenn Beck filling in for Charlie Kirk yesterday.
I brought something with me today that I thought was appropriate while I did the show, that I would sit in front of Charlie's microphone. It was given to me after the death of Rush Limbaugh by his wife.
Listen to this. By his wife.
It is Rush's golden microphone.
Okay, yeah. By the way, it's the golden EIB microphone. So Glenn Beck has in his hand Rush Limbaugh's golden EIB microphone. He says Rush's wife gave it to him. He's crying. I can understand.
I think it's appropriate.
And so he took Rush's golden EIB microphone that he says was a gift from Rush's wife, and he put it next to Charlie Kirk's microphone.
But it sits in front of Charlie's microphone. What I would have said to Charlie was, you were thinking too small.
Okay, and he goes on some monologue. Were there a bunch of those golden EIB microphones? Or is that the one? Because Glenn Beck has a thing for microphones. Okay, he had Tokyo Rose's microphone. There were, that he used to broadcast from. He still has it. I don't know if he broadcasts with it anymore. So he's got a thing about microphones. But if that is the golden EIB microphone, shouldn't that be in a museum somewhere, like the Smithsonian? I'm not against people owning things. And he said, I'm just wondering, are there others? It's pretty emotional to see him do it, but I would love to be able to go to the Smithsonian Museum and see the recreation of Rush's studio with the golden EIB microphone. But maybe he had a whole bunch of them. And does anyone know, is this one of several, or is this the only golden EIB microphone? And does anyone know the story of how Glenn Beck was the one that Rush's widow gave the microphone to? I was very surprised. I was not expecting that. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name?
I'm JB Vance from Ohio. Actually, not JD Vance. That's JB, engineer from Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
The main thing I wanted to touch on here is one of the best tweets I've seen in a while from Trump was, after this happened to Charlie Kirk, none of the businesses felt the need to preemptively board up their windows or feel the need to spray black-owned business on any of their banners or things when they talk about, all the news anchors saying, well, the violence is on both sides and the right needs to turn down the temperature. And I feel like, when you look at speakers like Cenk from the Young Turks, for instance, is a great example. What they're doing when they're actively calling people terrorists, Nazis, and fascists, and as a person who is the grandson of a person who died in World War II fighting actual real-life Nazis, when they're broadcasting these things to the youth and to the young and impressionable, that's not free speech. That is stochastic terrorism, and it's right on there on par with inciting fear, panic, or violence. I personally think it's worse than running into an airport and yelling the word bomb.
It is. And just slow down before you go on to your thing about Kimmel, okay? I want to talk about this thing about Hitler and fascists. And I've talked about this a lot with callers, and I'll add something to it. I've talked about all these movies and TV shows have been made about time travelers going back in time and killing Hitler, right, when he was a baby one time. I saw one episode of The Twilight Zone. It was one of those Twilight Zone remakes. This time traveler went back in time and became the nanny for the Hitler family. And little Adolf was a baby, and go look this episode up because it had a twist at the end. So nobody thinks. Okay, right? No one thinks it would be bad to go back in time to kill Hitler. So this calling Trump and Charlie Kirk Hitler, both of them were shot. One of them assassinated. What it does, it doesn't just inspire the violence. It also dehumanizes the individual. And this monster who I still stand, there was a big conspiracy behind the assassination. This guy's a patsy, but he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He thought he was shooting Hitler last week. And no one thinks it's wrong to shoot Hitler. Yes. Yes.
Just like the guy who shot the medical CEO
Luigi. Well, yeah, the Charlie Kirk shooter,
the darling of the media.
The Charlie Kirk shooter went back to his computer and went to his Discord server and to see if he was being celebrated on social media. And there was the first Democrat assassin was John Wilkes Booth, right? John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat. He assassinated President Lincoln, the first Republican president, and he didn't die for a few days, right, in that barn fire shootout. But and
a fun fact is, did you know that John Wilkes Booth's killer, when they had him surrounded in the barn, the Union soldiers and the mob that was there, they gave out the direct order for nobody to shoot because they wanted to arrest him and take him in custody. But a man saw a knot in one of the boards and stuck his firearm through and killed him.
Yeah.
The man that did that was a hatter who put mercury on his hats. He also had untreated syphilis, and he was mentally insane.
Okay, well, that's crazy stuff. But the guy, I can't remember the name of the man, but John Wilkes Booth had a co-conspirator with him, helping him on his escape, and he left the barn when the fire happened. And so he talked about how John Wilkes Booth was in shock that the newspapers, the Southern newspapers, were not helping him escape. He thought after he shot Lincoln, he was going to be celebrated as a hero, and everybody was out to get him, even in the South. So, these assassins always believe that they don't view, most often they don't view themselves as bad guys. They always think they're a hero. John Wilkes Booth, this guy, Luigi, all of them, okay? And that's just the way it is. And these liberals, by calling Charlie Kirk and Trump Hitler and fascist all the time, they inspired this violence. And that is against the law to do. They incited the violence. All right, from Ohio.
Well, I wanted to point out one thing really quick to your point there. I can't think of the man's name. I want to say it's something like a George Zinn or something. But do you recall, right after the shot took place, an old man was dragged away, a 71-year-old man who had the previous priors for calling in a bomb threat to a marathon. He was a liberal. The reason why they dragged him away is because he yelled out, "I did it, and I do it again."
Yeah.
They dragged him off and they said, "Why did you say that?" And he said, "I did that to draw attention away from the actual shooter so he could get away." Now, the shooter didn't know him ahead of time, but he absolutely ended up having an accomplice. And the only thing that man was charged with was obstruction of justice.
For now, no. They're gonna go after him. One of the two men they arrested had child porn on his computer. I don't know if it's that one, but no, he's going to be, if they haven't done it already, they've already talked about this. He is going to be charged, and I'm not exactly sure what that yet, but he's going to be charged as some type of accessory because he helped the assassin escape. So, and I wouldn't be so sure there's not a connection. You think it's just a coincidence that there were two loons like that right there at that college camp? I don't think so. Listen, I got to run. I'm late for the break. I'm late for the break. I got to run. We'll be right back. All right. So what do you guys think? Does anyone know? Is that the only golden EIB microphone? Let me know. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hi there. Patrick in Chicago.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Brian. Hey, thanks for your show there. It's my old stomping grounds right where you're at there in South Florida.
Cool.
Yeah, I just got a couple thoughts. I'm not surprised about the canceling of the Jimmy.
Oh, hold on. Let me answer all these lines that are coming in. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no problem. I'm not surprised about them canceling that show. It's long overdue, and we all saw it coming, but a little bit too late.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where do we go from here? Like, it's like I keep humming that song, from Lunatic Fringe,
Where do we go from here? The country has been unified. I know we have these idiots like Jimmy Kimmel, but they're a minority. The country has been unified by this in the aftermath of this assassination. It's been a long time. The country hasn't been unified since 9/11, and I'm here to tell you that we weren't unified long after 9/11, and this is sticking together longer. Because we have a better leader now than we had then. But this, the country has really been brought together. My father-in-law is in his 80s. He lives in a kind of a retirement area in Florida. He went to a vigil for Charlie Kirk. It was all old people. There were about 1,000 people there, all adults, many of them senior citizens. I couldn't believe.
Yeah, I was right there too this weekend. After church, we went up in Arlington Heights, just a few miles from his high school. Charlie's High School in Wheeling, and it was a beautiful, no interruptions. There was probably about 3 or 4 cops. Everything was kosher. But I mean, it's still a hard time for all of us. That what we're seeing here is just like unreal, but it's not surprising either. At the same time.
Well, no. Well, I wouldn't say it's. I was pretty surprised when I saw it last week. There has not been a political assassination of a non-elected official like this for 57 years in this country. Martin Luther King.
Right. No, I don't mean about the assassination. I meant about how the reactions. I meant from all the the people going haywire on social media. I'm not surprised with that. No, of course, I'm very shocked actually, but I mean I was worried all along. same time.
When it happened,
So we just
when this god awful incident happened, we knew how the left would react. They have no sense. They have no sense.
For sure. We just, I'll be praying for you and all the other people that stand, have the voices. That's what we really have to hold up in prayer. Benny Johnson's, you, and all the other conservative, fiery, just not not afraid to speak your voice and the truth. I was watching Piers Morgan on, and on all those people, I don't know if you saw that last one with the conservative transgender, or I don't know if he was transgender so much as the makeup artist guy, but he totally spoke out against this whole thing.
Well, good for him.
Riley Gaines was on, and those other two, total, I don't even think they're rhinos. They're just, they were total quacks. They're just putting their foot
Well, listen,
in their mouth
I gotta run. We're getting ready, but thanks for the call. And are you new to the program? You just find me?
I've been on for a little bit, but fairly new.
Okay, well, welcome. Call me again sometime. You're a great caller.
Definitely. Thanks again, bro.
All right. Take care. If you're on hold, stand by. We're coming out of the break in seconds, okay? We are back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. All right, we're going to go back to the phones. We're covering quite a bit today, but the big story is the Jimmy Kimmel story. And, of course, what's happened with Jimmy Kimmel is incredibly appropriate, as I've been discussing, but let's take some of these calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi there, it's Trisha, I'm Minneapolis bus driver.
Hey, Trisha, this is Trisha the bus driver, no relation to Richie the bus driver. Trisha the bus driver from Minneapolis. No. What's on your mind?
Yeah. I just wanted to go back to when you were saying about maybe there was something going on with Candace and Charlie, and I started watching them in 2015, and, right before Trump got in the first time, and I think all their energy was related to, it was so awesome to see all the young conservative people come out of the woodwork. And Candace was, African-American. You didn't see that often. And, Officer Brandon Tatum and everything. And it was I think it was the energy of everyone together, because I used to watch them endlessly. And the only time when I started pulling back was when she got her own show and stuff, but I used to love her up on the stage.
Well, Eric Bolling used the term break up, so that's what you use with couples.
Yeah.
And I thought, for some reason, I got vibes that they were a couple. Because, and I'll tell you where I got that from. They were the first time, I may have heard of Charlie Kirk before this, but the first time I can remember paying much attention to Charlie Kirk, he was on Fox. And the story was he and Candace Owens were having breakfast in some restaurant in D.C., and some liberals saw them and started harassing them. And they were having breakfast together, at this restaurant. And then he was on Fox the next day. They were talking about it. And I thought right then and there, they just seemed like they were a couple. She was a lot better. She's not so good looking anymore now that she's gotten all into this anti-Semitism and everything, but she was a looker, and they were both single and young, and famous. So but when Eric Bolling said broke up, I thought, yesterday, that's interesting.
I wonder if she liked him like that more, and he was.
She's into white guys. She's into white guys. Her husband's a white guy.
I know. She married one. So maybe she kind of started getting too into him, and she started, and it was the rabbit hole thing was a perfect.
Yeah.
It's okay, you're going too deep this way, and boom, and maybe it was a breakup, but not, that Charlie was into her. I don't think.
I don't know. I just thought it was a weird term for Eric Bolling to use. They broke up.
Yeah, interesting. And I also think, I think it is the golden microphone is the real microphone.
Listen, no beef with Glenn Beck, but I just don't think the golden EIB microphone of Rush Limbaugh belongs in some private collection of Glenn Beck. I think it belongs in the Smithsonian. I'm not kidding. You know, like I remember, I don't know if this is still there. You know, I went to the Smithsonian once. They had, it was not a recreation. It was they had Julia Child's kitchen, and they have other things like this, like sets. and when I see what they've done with the Charlie Kirk show, they have kept it in place, the studio and everything. And the Charlie Kirk show is going to continue forever with rotating hosts. Maybe they'll have a permanent collection at some point. And I wish they would have done that with Rush. They didn't. But if this EIB microphone should be on display in the Smithsonian, not in Glenn Beck's house. And I don't know why Rush's wife gave it to him. He was going to be the next Glenn Beck? I mean, the next Rush? I don't know.
I know, because he's not that level. You know.
Well, who is?
He's great, but he's not. I mean, he ain't no Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, I know. All right, appreciate the call. Tricia, the bus driver. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is 888-465-2631. So here's Chuck Schumer. He went on CNN yesterday. He's freaking out over Kimmel.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do.
Okay, now before I play the rest of this, if you remember on January 6th, okay, on January 6th, President Trump was cut off of every means of communication from the White House. Do you remember this? This event was going on. President Trump was trying to tell the American people about it and to put out a call to leave the building in the place. Remember this? All the social media shut him down, right? They even shut the official POTUS Twitter down. And none of the networks would carry him. And this was on January 6th, while there were people still inside the Capitol building. The President of the United States had every means of communication cut off. Social media, every internet platform, and cable television, as well as broadcast television. And they said because he was going to incite violence. The other thing is, even after it was all over, I can't remember if it was the next day or the day after the next day. But I was watching Fox News, Neil Cavuto, and they were covering something live at the White House. President Trump came out to speak. This was like January 7th, 8th, or 9th, something like that. And President Trump's about to speak. It was live. Neil Cavuto, he cut away. He said, the President of the United States is about to speak. We are cutting away because he may incite violence. Do any of you remember that? I talked about it at the time. I never watched him again, Cavuto. I was done with him. Well, that's what's going on with Jimmy Kimmel and these liberals. They are inciting violence. They shot the two top MAGA people, killing one of them in that assassination 8 days ago of Charlie Kirk. So these leftists, not only are they inciting violence with their rhetoric, President Trump was the sitting president of the United States of America, and all lines of communication were cut off. Not ABC, NBC, CBS, the cable, all the internet providers, all the social media platforms. I didn't hear any of these First Amendment defenders defending the First Amendment right of the President of the United States to address the people during an event. January 6th was we didn't know what was going on at the time. We know now. But you understand what I mean? Yeah. So where was Schumer then? All right, let's get back to this. I'll rewind it. This is Schumer on CNN.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do.
Even though they did it to President Trump on January 6th.
And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy. And I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Schumer.
Really, they arrested President Trump, put him in jail, too, on top of all this stuff. That sounds like China. That sounds like Putin. So what are your thoughts on that? Our number is 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm looking for my commercial copy. Where's my commercial copy? There it is, right here. I just want to make sure I got the phone number right. I can't remember everybody's phone number off the top of my head. I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. It is rainy season. It is hurricane season. If you're in the state of Florida, it's raining every day. If you've got a wet spot in your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he will do it. When I was on our last cruise, there were like 4 guys that got new roofs from Tom Laporta, and then there was another guy where we had like this Tom Laporta new roof club, and I can't remember which one of our cruisers told me this, but they said, yeah, I thought I needed a new roof. I called Tom Laporta. I just had a leak. He said, and it was my air conditioning. It wasn't my roof. There was a leak from my air conditioning line. That's why I had the wet spot. And Tom Laporta told, that's amazing. Honestly, one of our listeners, he called me, and he was with an HOA, because Tom does great work with HOAs. He was with a condo community. And he had some roofers come out and give estimates. They all said they needed a new roof. Tom Laporta from Laporta Roofing came out and said, no, you just need a repair. I don't know how big of a job a big condo is, but that's just some repair. You don't get that kind of integrity, that honesty in the roofing business, except with Laporta Roofing, who stand above and beyond. And Tom Laporta gives out his cell phone number to our listeners, okay, so you can call or text. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. Give him a call, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. You guys remember that? When they cut off the president, wouldn't let him communicate on any of the networks, including... I didn't hear anyone talking about his First Amendment rights. Do you? Oh, did you see JD? This is the second MAGA president you're looking at right here, JD Vance. Listen to this.
Justice exists for both the people who repent and ask forgiveness. Justice also exists for people who don't repent and don't ask for forgiveness. I really do hope that the person who murdered Charlie Kirk eventually accepts that what he did was evil and terrible, but we still got to have justice anyway. And I think that for the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk, look, we have a First Amendment in this country. The First Amendment protects a lot of very ugly speech. But if you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, you should not be protected from being fired for being a disgusting person. If you're a university professor who benefits from American tax dollars, you should not be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And if you are, maybe you should lose your job, or your university should face a loss of funding. If you are the kind of person who thinks that Charlie Kirk was justifiably murdered, sometimes the government can't do anything about that. But you know what can is civil society. And I've actually been gratified to see all these people standing up and saying, yes, we have free speech, and yes, we have free debate. But if you're celebrating the death of a young father, you ought to pay some consequences for it. And the American people are rising up against that evil. It's a great thing to see.
Yeah, that. Has JD Vance not been doing a great job this week? Can you give me a yes or no in the chat? Would you be comfortable with him being the second MAGA president? What do you guys think? JD Vance, second MAGA president, is he doing a good job? My only beef with JD Vance is that Generation X, we got skipped over, right? Because he's a millennial, and President Trump's a baby boomer. So we've gone from baby boomer, kind of rough baby boomer because he was born at that time, but from baby boomer to millennial. What happened to Gen X? And why did we get passed over? Does anyone know? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Ben from Pamela.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, so you brought, I heard Chuck Schumer talking, and he's talking about free speech and all that jazz. You had nothing to say when the Biden administration sent the intelligence community after social media companies in order to censor conservatives, with Elvis Chan meeting with Facebook and shutting down any group who was whether it had to do with vaccines, whether it had to do with January or the election of 2020. They shut everyone down. They took Parler off of.
What about Twitter with the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop? Remember, they shut down the New York Post and all Post about it. Remember that?
Of course. Well, that was the intelligence community. The FBI went to Facebook and said that we believe this is Russian disinformation. And so, yeah, it's all part of the same Twitter files. But you're absolutely right. It's just so, people's memory is so short, and I don't really blame them.
We're coming back. We're in a break. We're going to be back in 20 seconds. I'll hold you. We'll get back into it when we get back. Okay. So hold your thought. No, Ben from Pompano. Yeah, the show never stops now. I never stop the show.
Okay.
It goes and goes and goes. All right, stand by.
Oh, good. Yeah, you got to keep the tempo.
Right. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Steve will be joining us after the top of the hour. I was talking during the break here. Ben from Pompano calling in. You know, what I was talking, Ben, before your call a little while ago, is, you know, ABC, after this assassination, taking Kimmel off the air, how they took President Trump off of every network, every cable network, every social media platform on January 6th. So here you have the President of the United States of America. There's a national crisis going on. That was a big day. And they cut off all lines of communication. I didn't see Schumer or any of these Democrats say, hey, what about Donald Trump's First Amendment rights?
Exactly. And this comes down to the FCC, and I know a lot of people on the base might understand the Steve Munt Act, which was Obama. It was pretty much a law that said the government could not use media companies to perpetrate propaganda on the American people, and Obama rescinded that. So what we have now is ABC, people like David Muir, when Trump was doing the debates, David Muir was giving backup for Kamala. It was 3-on-1, if you remember that, the second debate.
And the lady co-debater with David Muir was Kamala Harris's sorority sister. Can you believe that? Her sorority sister was the co-moderator of that debate. I couldn't believe it.
Right. And this goes back to ABC. It's not like they're just being like a company trying to make money, and they're not, they are actively working with one party to undermine another party. This isn't just like Trump going after ABC. ABC should be shut down because if the Steve Munt Act
and
was
ABC,
still in place,
ABC is The View.
Yes.
You think they're freaking out this morning over at The View?
I didn't think it could get more toxic than Jimmy Kimmel, but yeah, when you bring up The View, like those. What is that? What do you call them? Like a bunch of cones? Like the witches?
I call it a coven. A coven, which if you don't know what a coven is, Google it. You'll get a laugh. It's a coven. And that show is toxic. It is poison. It's always been toxic. Always, since it debuted.
Right. And that's propaganda. And so when we're finally fighting back against, the thing about the Democrats is they've gotten so used to the status quo that in the status quo has been so toxic for so long, they don't see anything wrong with it. And all of a sudden, we're coming and saying, no, we're going back to normal, and they're throwing a fit. But most people have gotten so inured to this really disgusting environment where it's just nonstop Democrat propaganda. And so no wonder people, that's all they know. So we need to go back. I mean, I think this Jimmy Kimmel, he's a monster. I mean, he cries. Every time I tuned into him, he was crying about kids in cages, although he had nothing to say about the 300,000 children migrants that got sex trafficked under Biden. He didn't cry when the kids were in cages under Obama, or Obama was the deporter in chief. I mean, Kimmel's not a good man, and he shouldn't be on the airwaves because, I mean, it's a national security threat. This guy's subversive.
Well, here's when there is an act of violence, you've got to tone down the rhetoric. And like I could give you an example. When there's a plane crash, you don't run airplane commercials. And there's something called responsibility. When there's an assassination, you don't go and justify. And if you remember, one of the things I played on yesterday's show was an ABC News reporter who was reporting about this beautiful love story between the Charlie Kirk assassin and his transgendered boyfriend that the love letters that he was writing on the ammunition and everything. Remember this? We were talking about this yesterday. Now he's taken that back. But you've got that love story at ABC with that reporter. You got Jimmy Kimmel. You got The View. It is a dangerous place, ABC News, because what they're doing is inciting violence. You know, I remember Lois Lerner was harassing the Tea Party. Remember this years ago?
Yeah.
Lois Lerner.
I was a little young for that.
Oh, you're a little young.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, oh, really? Okay. Well, you know, and they had people that worked for Lois. You guys can look all this up. I'm just giving you the capsulized Reader's Digest version of this story. They had congressional hearings, and they interviewed Lois Lerner and her people on how they were using their authority at the government to harass the Tea Party organizations. And they were said, well, they're Nazis, they're Klansmen. And I realized then how the liberals really see us. And if you're stopping the Klan, if you're stopping the Nazis, if you're stopping Hitler, anything you do to stop them is okay, right? And that's how they rationalize it. And when you have these, yeah.
Well, remember when they used the term scholastic or scholastic terrorism, where essentially a group or high prominent, like very media exposed group of people constantly say things where out of 350 million people, if you keep drilling on a message in this pseudo reality of we live in like the Handmaid's Tale, fascist, Third Reich dictatorship, eventually one person out of that 350 million will take it to heart. And so what they're doing is doing this indirect terrorism where they create the environment to create these terrorists, but they have plausible deniability. So they accuse us of that, but that's literally, every accusation is a confession. That's literally what they do. They have called Trump a Nazi, fascist, white supremacist, domestic terrorist, threat to democracy for 10 years. And so we get people like Luigi Mangione. We get people like this Robinson guy.
No, you're right.
Like
they've incited this violence.
They wanted it.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they've been celebrating it for a week.
The only reason that they're a little more, the base, like crazies on TikTok have been celebrating it, but some of the higher ups have been walking up because they know they overplayed their hand, and all eyes are on them, and people hate them right now, and they know that they went too far. Don't get me wrong, they're happy he's dead. They're absolutely happy he's dead. Even the people
absolutely, they're high fiving each other because they think now that yes, and that there's not going to be anyone who can convert the youth, that the movement will fade away.
I don't think people understand how effective Charlie Kirk was. He literally revolutionized how we chase votes. We used to chase votes after the middle, like that independent normie who didn't know what was going on. What Charlie decided was we need to go after the people who are like Republican, but they're low propensity voters. And so it's like we don't have to convince people. We just have to get the people on our side to get out.
Well, you know, I saw a clip of Charlie Kirk yesterday, and he was talking. It was an interview he did, and he says, the reason that these colleges hate me, he says, because in 2 hours, I can undo what they've 4 years of their brainwashing, and they know it.
Once you pierce the echo chamber and you show them alternative views, the whole thing collapses. That is why colleges are insulating themselves. That's why when these kids come out praising Mao Zedong as being a liberator of feminists or whatever, like that crazy them who came on the other day on X, I'm sure you saw, it's because they're a complete echo chamber. Once you puncture that, people start falling off the farm, And
that's right.
That's why he was such a threat, because the Marxist march through the institution started at the academia. That's why we're seeing
That's right. Listen, I got to run, Ben, we've had a good conversation. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Oh, I got to talk about Friendly Tire and Margate. You may have heard me tell this story before, but I have not told it in a long time about how Friendly Tire became a sponsor of the Steve Kane Show. I've been buying tires I like, for 20 years, probably now, 15 at least, close to 20. And Steve, every time Steve would get new tires, I would say, Steve, because he's got a big family, lots of cars, go to Friendly Tire. They weren't an advertiser with this shit. They weren't sponsoring this shit. And I said, Steve, go to Friendly Tire. You can get new tires out the door and on the road for $75 a tire. And he's like, whatever. And he would always tell me after he bought the tires. And finally, he came to the radio studio. This is when we were broadcasting from Coral Springs. and the belts were showing. I can see the threads inside the tire. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to go get tires after the show." I gave him the directions to Friendly Tire. I said, "Steve, you're going to get new tires." I called Mike. I said, "You're going to get tires, $75, brand new tires." And Steve didn't believe me. And he left. I gave him the right. He left. Steve called me like 20 minutes later. He's like, "I can't believe it. The tire's only $75. I said, "I've been telling you, Steve." And the next day, we were doing spots for Friendly Tire in Margate. That's right. And by the way, new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tire. All right? Give him a call. He has all the name brands you know and love. Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Steve will be joining us after the top. We'll continue this discussion, and there's a lot we haven't touched on yet. We'll be right back after this break. All right. I'm going to call Steve. Hey, can you guys hear me? Well, I can't now because I got the receiver. I don't have you on the speaker yet. But what are you talking about? Oh yeah, I'll call you back. I'm gonna call you guys after the show. Okay? I put some stuff together about our. I can't say now because everybody can hear me, but our issue that we were dealing with, and it's not as bad as you think. And I got a plan to get us out of it. so when I go through it with you, listen and bear with me. All right, don't freak out. You gotta let me go through everything. But I'll call you after the show. Yeah. Oh, Lori won't. Okay, I'll call Lori first, and then I'll call you and go over it with you. Okay, okay, yeah, okay, hold on. Okay, all right, are you there, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me see when I'm gonna be back.
For the moment.
Yeah. We're gonna be back in less than 30 seconds. So hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, stand by.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are curious. All right, welcome back. The third hour has begun. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. How are you doing this very fine day?
Good. You know, I was talking to you during the break, and we have thousands of people watching online, and I was talking cryptically so they couldn't hear. And people are very curious as to what we were talking about. So I just saw somebody say, "I wish I could tap into that line." Well, whatever.
Well, you just got to keep listening. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we got a bit of an issue, and I came up with a solution but it's not for the air. I wanted to talk about this Jimmy Kimmel thing, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I had a couple things. Because people are going through this free speech crap. Like Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment right has been violated, which is insane. And
do you remember what I told you the first day this story broke?
After the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
Yes.
I don't.
First day that the big story broke.
No, what'd you say?
and I gave you what we in the trade call wink, wink, a hook.
Yeah.
The story here is going to end up being long run, and the danger here is about free speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean their free speech. I mean everybody's free speech. Because if things continue to deteriorate, free speech is going to be the price we pay, and it's going to be a horrible loss. Because free speech is one of the great things. Of all the rights and freedoms in this country, free speech is the most important.
Well,
we're going to lose it, I fear.
We may disagree on this issue then with Jimmy Kimmel today. We may disagree. I don't know, because we haven't talked about it. I mean, we knew we talked last night, but
no time like the present.
Okay, this is the thing. The Charlie Kirk assassination is the first major assassination in 57 years in this country with Martin Luther King. Right? There have been shootings and there have been presidents shot, but presidents haven't been killed. Since Kennedy. Even though they've tried, right? They tried to shoot Ford. They shot Reagan, right? President Trump was shot, but they survived. But also, Charlie Kirk was not an elected official, so he's so there's.
Well, isn't that a distinction without a difference? What's the difference?
Well, what I mean is
there
hasn't been there's not. It's a political assassination. It's the first one since Martin Luther King 57 years ago. And it's a big deal. And I wasn't alive when King was killed, okay? You were, but I was born 3 years later. But I'm alive now. And what I've been talking about with callers it's been 8 days, what I've talked to a lot of callers is the left have been calling Trump and Charlie Kirk fascist and Hitler for 10 years, right? And when people talk about if I could go back in time and assassinate Hitler, wouldn't the world be a better place? And I
don't agree with your basic framing of it. Let me tell you where I come from on this, all right? I've always been very connected to England in my heart. I relate to England in the early days when I used to travel every summer, usually to somewhere in Europe. I would always stop in England, my first stop and my last stop. And on day one, I got there on a Sunday, and I would leave a week and a day later on a Sunday because I wanted to be there to be at Speaker's Corner, which is the high point of my trip.
Yeah.
And Speaker's Corner, did you know the tradition of Speaker's Corner?
Yeah.
Tell me.
It's a place where a bunch of lunatics stand on boxes and scream about anything they want from the top of their lungs.
Well, it goes back to 100 years or more. And it's a tradition where at Sunday there's a little corner dedicated to people anybody with a soapbox can get up and say anything they want to.
Yes.
And they do. And the park fills up. It's a huge, gorgeous park, Speaker's Corner. And that was the pride of the heritage of Britain, to be able to get up and say whatever you want, no matter how unpopular. And a lot of the people that spoke were unpopular, and they had religious people. They had people from every cockamamie idea you can think of.
Yeah,
you could get up and say it at Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner no longer exists. I am sad to say, because they had to close it down because it got too dangerous.
Yeah,
and that's the problem with the free speech things. Once you make an issue, once you start cutting a loaf. Having a slice off the loaf of bread, when one slice is gone, it's easier. The second is easier, and the third is easier. And what you end up with is a repressive society where everybody's afraid to open their mouth.
Yeah.
It happened in England, and I'm afraid it's happening now in England.
Yeah, but Steve, this is the thing. Okay, now Charlie Kirk, after this assassination, things have happened. Jimmy Kimmel was not taken off the air by the government. He was taken off the air by ABC. It was a corporate decision, not a government decision. I know the FCC commissioner was on TV last night. I saw it, and he was in favor of it, but he was not taken off by the government. He was taken off by ABC. ABC had another thing happen yesterday too. Okay, you weren't with us yesterday, but there was a. Did you see the ABC reporter story?
Tell me.
Okay. I played this a few times on the show yesterday, but you were off yesterday. This ABC News reporter who's been covering the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? Because this guy is been arraigned and everything, and he was talking about the great romance between the assassin and his transgender boyfriend.
Yes, I'm familiar with the issue.
Okay, so ABC had this lunatic talking about the love letters in the text and the etchings on the bullets and everything. And then you couple that, and they were under a lot of heat because that was insanity what that guy said. I've never heard anything like that before. It was crazy. And then Jimmy Kimmel has been celebrating the assassination and things. So they were under a lot of pressure that started with the ABC News reporter. But he was not taken off the air by the government. He was taken off the air, Jimmy Kimmel, by corporate. And I talked to a caller about this. You know that I'm a big fan of Star Wars and Star Trek. If before you came on the air, I was talking about Star Wars and Star Trek, you'd be freaking out at me. And if I continue to do it, you wouldn't let me get away with that, right?
Would you fire you?
You might. If I decided every day I'm going to talk about Star Wars and Star Trek, how long until you'd stop me from doing that? Right? You'd be yelling at me the first day. Like, what are you doing?
The problem is it's a slippery slope, and once you censor one person, then the next one is easier and easier and easier, and then you end up with what they have in Britain, which is everybody's afraid to open their mouth.
Okay.
You know, you want to hear what's interesting about Britain, though? We literally, if you say something that's out of line and a policeman or something hears you saying the wrong thing, they hold you away and put you in jail. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but that's the end. That's what lies at the end of the.
Oh no! Okay, let me give you another example. Maybe this will make sense. Maybe you'll agree with this. You know, on the weekend, our old friend Al Knight. You remember Al Knight from the Craig Worthing Show?
Yes.
He's the.
How could you forget Al Knight?
Yeah, he's the weekend DJ on our radio station, right, on True Oldies, playing oldies music.
Right.
And Al Knight, he has been a DJ at every music format in existence, even country. Okay. And there's a playlist of songs on the True Oldies station. If he started playing, something that wasn't on the playlist, that wasn't even oldies music, would he be allowed to do that? And when
that's a different issue. That's not
it's the same thing. Why is it not his free expression to play, something that's brand new? Or
it's a different. It's a
what's the difference?
Rigid format that calls for certain things. It's a bad example. It's not the issue. The issue is if you and I get in an argument in Speaker's Corner and I raise my voice too high and I say the wrong thing, a cop's going to put me in jail for what I said.
Steve, when I first started working with you, you were a program director of the radio station, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you weren't too strict, but you had rules, and
I had guidelines, not rules.
No, we used to have a nickname for Steve. All of us on the air, and it was. You remember what your nickname was?
Can't wait for this.
Do you remember? We used to call you this on the air all the time. Chronic Steve from Cooper City, right? Remember? Remember we used to call you. We call you this on the air. Everybody did. Al Rentel, everybody. Because you were the program director. I'd forgotten about it.
Well, that's free speech.
Well, hold on. But there was a reason. Because sometimes you didn't like, you were the program director. So you were in charge of what was on the, sometimes you didn't like what someone was doing. And you would call up and say, get them off the air. Or even change the topic. And I remember... you used to do that all the time, and you'd call. Sometimes you would.
That's a different thing. That's not editing
Steve,
for content.
I'm not done. Oh, yes, it is. I remember, and this was when you and Joyce Kaufman started your half a century long feud. Okay, you did something that really ticked her off. Okay.
What did I do?
Okay. Now, I'm not. What you did, I'm not disagreeing with, because it was the right thing to do. During the O.J. Simpson trial was going on, okay?
Yeah.
And the O.J. Simpson trial, which, if you didn't live through the O.J. Simpson trial, there has never been a news story that rose to that level before. I mean, there's never been. To me, I don't know another thing that's ever happened in this country.
Well, there is now.
Well, Trump. That's been a decade of Trump. I give you that. But you made a decision that the radio station was going to carry the O.J. Simpson trial in its entirety live, which went on for
It's a programming decision, right?
for 9 months, and it preempted Joyce Kaufman's show every day. And she was allowed to speak during sidebars, during lunch break, all these kind of things.
She was the. What would you say? She was the guest host.
She did not like it, okay, because she had no talk show for a year. And
she thought she was more interesting than the OJ trial.
Exactly. And
which calls into question her judgment, right?
But that's what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. His employer has preempted his program indefinitely because they didn't like and they think something else should be done. And that's what you did to Joyce. Did you violate her First Amendment by preempting her show for a year with the OJ?
That's not a First Amendment issue.
Either is ABC removing Jimmy Kimmel because they're not the government. It's the same thing. They're the program director of their late night lineup. All right, listen, let's see what the court of public opinion thinks. I'm going to put you on hold, okay?
Yeah, can I give you one more quick thing?
We're late for the break, but go ahead.
Just real quick. The thing that's interesting, what's going on in England now, the establishment, it's always the government establishment that is set with enforcing these things. And in this particular case, with this murder, this horrible, ghastly murder, the interesting thing is the government stands up for anybody, against anybody who supports Trump. The government is pro-Trump in England, which may not be a surprise if you've been watching what's going on television.
All right,
what's going on.
We're late for the break, so I'm going to put you and everybody on hold. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Oh, boy. So we got, because I remember that. Oh my goodness, Steve would call, and I didn't care, but he would sometimes. You would you would have a caller on, and he was the program director, and he would call in, and tell you on the air to get rid of that call, or change the topic. He used to do it all the time when he was program director, and I didn't care, but that I was just starting out, So is that limiting free speech? It's different. It's not different. It's the same thing that happened to Jimmy Kimmel. When you got a boss, you got to adhere to those guidelines. There's things I cover on my podcast that I don't cover here because, Steve doesn't, wouldn't want me to talk about certain things. Not because of a political bias. He just doesn't think it's the right topic or something. I was saving that stuff for when he got here to surprise him a little bit. Oh, my goodness. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm not going to take any calls during the break here in this hour. I'm going to wait till Steve gets here. Oh, man. I had something come up last night, and I only got about 2 or 3 hours sleep. Okay, we're going to be back in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh, man. I'm pretty tired. But not as tired as I would be if I didn't have my MyPillow mattress topper, which I'm going to talk about when we get back. $90 seconds. All right, you there, Steve?
I am. Be sure to get the call report.
Yeah, well, that's not for like 30 minutes almost. We'll be back in just over about 75 seconds.
All right, be ready.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I got my face is covered in blood. I got scratched by a cat this morning. I know. I hope it doesn't scar. I know.
You'll be fine.
It hurts.
Put a little peroxide on it.
It itches. All right, 30 seconds. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Okay, we were late on that break. We got 40 minutes left. We got to be on time on the break, Steve, or we're going to be messed up. So just give you a heads up. When I say it's break time, we got to go. All right, let's go to the calls. The number's 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Tony in Pompano.
Tony.
Yeah, hi, Brian.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, was listening to Steve about the corner in England.
Speaker's Corner.
Well, yeah, it's still there. They're still using it. The only problem they're having being all the Muslims coming over now, they're talking about their speech.
That's the
more
biggest
hatred
issue.
speech. Yeah, the more hatred speech you put in, the more people will use the hatred and use it to eliminate the speech. But at the same time, where can you draw the line and saying, hey, the speech is for everybody, but at the same time, when you start
that's the problem
feeling
when
a
you
lot of
talk about
hatred
with free speech. That's the problem. And it's
Yeah, well,
basically
not that- I don't think that's-
I don't know if they're going through the motions anymore at Speaker's Corner, but Speaker's Corner.
Oh, no,
as
they're
it
going- they're
existed
going-
historically.
No, they're
just not the same.
it's not the same as you remember and I remember. I'm old. So now
Not as old as
the
me.
Speaker Corner. How old are you? In the 80s?
6.
86. God bless you. I'm maybe 9 years younger than you.
Well,
So anyway,
you're a kid.
Tell that to my bones.
Anyway, go ahead.
In freedom of speech, it has a line. You can't call out. If you go into a theater, you can't say fire, fire. Everybody runs out and people get killed. So the person is responsible for what the person says. If we say, kill this guy, he's this and he's that, and I don't want to use the terms that the Democrats are using.
But who makes the
but
decision?
if we do,
Who makes the judgment?
Well, as people, we should make the judgment. That we, for
What
example,
people?
if I say the people that run the government, the people that you entrusted.
So, but if you say it on the air, that's okay.
No, not necessarily, because if the guy on the air says, I hate this guy, and this guy is useless to society, and this guy is this, and this guy is that, what's going to happen to that person?
Well, you can tell
Eventually,
what's
somebody's
going to
gonna
happen
say,
from what's happened here in this case. I mean, you take a look at what's happened.
Yeah.
What's happened is that you can't open your mouth. It's getting so you can't say what you want without getting in trouble. That's
Okay,
that suppresses free speech.
Okay, but then your next solution you have is a revolution. If you speak your free speech,
but
you use your free speech.
When you pass on a resolution, you don't want a revolution, do you?
But for example, if you use the free speech, you can't, certain things you're not allowed to say.
Anyway, your good point. Appreciate your call.
All right.
But I think you've made your point.
Okay. Well, see, you just shut him. Did you violate his First Amendment, Steve, when you hung up on him there?
Yes.
Okay, but that's okay because you did it.
Well, because I've got this little sign here. Hold on, let me straighten the sign. It says host.
That's correct. Like ABC taking Kimmel off the air.
H-O-S-T, host.
It's your show.
That sign permits me to do it.
Correct. In fact, I did it. You told me to do it. That was your signal for me to hang up on the call because I've got the controls to the phone. Well, that's what ABC did to Kimmel. They own the show, they own the network, and they took him off the air. How's that a free speech violation? How's that different than you doing that, telling me to hang up on a caller?
Well, each case is different. There's no question of that. But it's where we end up that you're going to see the problem.
Yeah.
And in England, all you have to do is look at England because what I'm talking about has occurred there now.
That's correct.
You can't go into a bar and talk too loud and say something that the government deems as dangerous or they're thrown in jail. I don't want to get thrown in jail for anything I say that's considered on the borderline.
Okay. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. Did I lose you, Steve? Hold on. Let me try. I think I might have lost Steve. Steve, are you with me? Okay. I'm going to call Steve during the break. It's time to take a break, and I want to talk about coastal weight loss secret. You guys, you've seen my miraculous weight loss, haven't you? I got my face back, my neck back. I'm thin. I'm shaving again. I realized I had not been shaving that much, like once every, really, sometimes couple of weeks. And now I'm shaving regularly. And the reason I stopped shaving, I didn't realize it at the time. It was subconscious. The reason I stopped shaving is because I gained so much weight. And it kind of covered up the weight that I had gained on my face, or at least I thought it did. But it really didn't. And now I'm shaving all the time. And the reason I'm shaving all the time is because, well, I look great. I've lost all this weight. I got my face back. And my stomach is flat. I've lost inches off my weight. And you can lose 10 to 20% of your body weight in just 60 days, too. That's right. Without any medications, without any injections, without any exercise, with eating foods you would normally eat, and without starving yourself. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. Yeah, I was calling back. It wasn't ringing. Yeah, I kept calling back. It wasn't ringing. But you're right. It's the same time every day. Same time every day. You're right. Mm-hmm. All right, hold on. I'll put you on hold for just a minute. Hold on. Okay, you there, Steve? Steve? Steve, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, that worked out because
Can you hear me?
it was time for a break, so I just did a spot. So, but okay. Okay. 30. About 90 seconds. We'll be back.
Okay, I hope. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. No. Nope. Well, I think we got the problem figured out.
What good is that if we?
No, well, we
still
got
there?
no. We got it. I want to talk about it now. People can hear. All right, we got a full board of calls, so I'll go to the calls when we get back.
Okay.
Oh, I'm tired.
Cold should be through the roof today.
Mm. Well, that'll be in next break. All right, we are back. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Our number, well, we only have one opening on the board at 1-888-465-2631. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Sean from Massachusetts. Good morning.
Hey, Sean.
Good morning, Sean.
You know what? After everything that we've seen in the last few years with the Biden administration and the Obama administration about censoring, everything was done by the government's orders, with companies and brands and jobs and all kinds of organizations. And that's the difference.
And when they change governments, they change who's in charge.
Well,
what's going on now in Congress is a perfect example of that. When they held the power, when they had the presidency, they kicked the crap out of all of us who are conservative Republicans. Now the shoe's on the other foot.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that we're seeing it when local employers are doing this on their own volition. We're not seeing Donald Trump's, doing it. This is all just happening organically. We're not seeing the full force of a government doing it because Trump does not do that. And we're starting to see people just starting to pay the price here for what they're saying. You just can't just say words. We have free speech, but when it's about violence and when it comes about death threats and everything,
Tony, you really mean that? Now, well, hold on. I just want to check out something you said. You said you don't want to be held responsible for put in jail for something you say, an opinion you voice in public. You don't want somebody to be able to come up to you at the bar, a policeman, and put you in cuffs and say, "Come this way. You're under arrest for violating the speech codes."
Well, we have free speech, but when it comes to death threats,
until we have it,
violent language, there is just no tolerance for that because if something like that happens, because that has words do have a lot of power in many respects, and I think that we do have there's a line that can be drawn, but my main point is that in this administration, we're not seeing them give the orders to say X. Or Facebook, they're not doing that. That Trump's not doing that, and I think that's great to see because the liberals would have you think, that it's the federal government that's making the calling the shots here when this isn't happening this time around. Now it's happening with
All
Biden.
right, thank you for your call.
All right, take
Thanks,
care.
bro.
Take care. All right, you're taking people off the air, Steve. I'm worried about all this free speech violation.
Moving right along.
There you go. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jerry at Fort Lauderdale. I'm looking at this Jimmy Kimmel thing, and to me it sounds like it's more about money than free speech.
They want to get rid of him, and they're using this as an excuse.
Well, losing money for the stage for the network.
Well, what I
He had
think
no
is,
ratings. They couldn't sell his show. No one wanted to buy it.
well, it's more than that. I feel that the Camel's Back is an entire future generation of potential Disney consumers, and someone with either with a little bit of wisdom, or maybe they're using artificial intelligence to make their decisions for them. Figure out that they could be losing billions down the road.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I don't agree. I think what has happened is this. I think a lot of we saw this with Cracker Barrel a couple weeks ago when they completely reversed their decisions on the rebranding and remodeling and stuff, right? And
yeah, but that wasn't a free speech issue.
well, no, this isn't really either. I think this is what I think's happened. Okay, I think a lot of companies, ABC, Cracker Barrel, right? They've been intimidated by these left-wing woke people for the last few years to cave to all kinds of stupidity. And there's been a big and now we have Trump back in office, and they see that the MAGA viewpoint, the conservative viewpoint, is the majority, and that the woke ideology is a small little group of people that have been intimidating them. And they never agreed with them, but they just caved with them. And now they're getting rid of all the wokesters at every opportunity. Like, I give you an example. Did you see the woman who was fired at Office Depot over the weekend, Steve?
Refresh me.
Okay. Did you see it, caller?
No, I did not.
Okay. These young people go to an Office Depot. They're printing up flyers for a Charlie Kirk vigil. The manager, who was a freak, you should have seen her, very freak, I don't know what gender they were, one of those kind of people, would not allow them to use the copy machines because it was propaganda, a Charlie Kirk vigil. She wouldn't let them. And they had her on video on their phones. Office Depot fired her. I promise you, they wanted to get rid of that woke whatever preferred pronoun manager for a long time. They just
maybe yes, maybe not.
Couldn't do it. And now they could, and they got rid of her.
That's right, because that makes sense, because woke, you go broke.
Yes, you go, what, yes, correct.
You go woke, you go broke.
And yeah, all right, appreciate the call. Take care. All right, yeah, we got some good callers out there. I got to tell you, Steve, the last week since this tragedy, we've had some of the best calls we've had in years. I'm going to talk about all new people, but of course, but just great positions and arguments. You know what I mean? And so we can think about things in a different way. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Steve. How are you today? Now,
I'm
from
doing
what
good.
I
How about
understand,
you?
I'm doing very good. Now, from what I understand, if I'm in England and I'm praying, say, outside of an abortion clinic, I can be stopped and asked, "What am I doing there?" and maybe taken away. If I tell the authorities I'm not verbalizing anything, but I'm saying a silent prayer, I can also be taken away for saying a silent prayer outside of, say, an abortion clinic.
Well,
I'm
not that familiar in detail with the law as it exists in Britain.
Well, are they already jumping from taking away our freedom of speech to our freedom of thought too? I mean, are we going down the slippery slope to being under complete control? At least
I would say, let's put it this way. I don't know if it's happened yet, but that's the danger.
I think they stop people if they're outside lingering and say, "No, I'm just saying a silent prayer to myself." That's enough for them to be able to question you and ask exactly what are you doing, what are you saying, and this and that.
The
we
big
used to have
problem they
privacy
have
of
over
thought.
in England, as in most of Europe, the biggest problem they have is the immigration problem. You think we got trouble here? You should see what's going on over there.
Well, I think the immigration problem is much bigger there than here. Didn't they have like 3 million people on the streets over the weekend?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's they've got to do something. Or, I think that they're gradually losing the culture over there. They're in danger of losing the whole country there if they don't do something about that. And that's why Trump's been warning them, like when he's over there playing golf, you got to get control of your borders, you got to get control of your immigration problems, or you won't have a country.
And they're very supportive of Trump. That's another thing that is shocking.
Yeah.
They're looking for you.
Especially,
people, if you badmouth Trump in England, they'll grab you up off the street real fast.
Yes, they will, and the big Nigel Farage, who's often in Mar-a-Lago, and that is a big proponent of Trump too. But they're well down the road to really living in a totalitarian system where they have no control over their borders, no control over
where the road
immigration.
leads. That's what I'm trying to tell people.
That leads. That's a very dangerous road too, an extremely dangerous road. And if you don't have freedom of thought now, I mean, we're becoming an Orwellian society. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's exactly the way I'd put it.
But I think you're missing it because what's going on is one, this woke thing, they're going broke. These late night shows, they're overpaying these guys, so they do want to get rid of them. There's no doubt. Okay, you know, they just broke Hollywood. You know, there's no more residuals in Hollywood. And no more residuals because everything's rerun on the streaming apps, no residual. So there's a factor of that. But Jimmy Kimmel, these late night shows have become political shows.
Yeah.
They're like the Sunday shows on the weekend. And what they've been doing is instigating literal violence. The 2 top MAGA people were shot. One of them was assassinated. And all this fake news media, the late night shows, all contributed to that because they've been inciting violence. And that's why they took Kimmel off the air.
Well, he deserves to be. Honestly, Brian, all these guys on the late night deserve to be taken off the air. I used to love to run home and listen to Johnny Carson, and you would get tremendous laughs, and he would take topics and not be political.
Jay Leno was really great too.
Jay Leno. I don't want to hear these guys give me a political diatribe at 11 o'clock at night when I've been, working all day or whatever. I mean, the public doesn't want this. And
it's just
and the
so
other one is the
tone
deal.
deaf. It's so outrageous.
Yes. And it's a disgrace. The View in the morning, too. I don't want to hear that first thing in the morning from these, I don't know what they are, these shrews that are on there. And I don't agree with anything they have to say. And that's not entertainment. I mean, I can make up my own. I don't need these guys preaching to me about all this stuff. And they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't understand what they're talking about. They're so far out in left field, they've already gone off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not coming back. They're not going to change their point of view,
Yeah.
But England was always kind of a bastion.
The thing you got to bear in mind is any given day that we're having a discussion of this, we're talking about what exists as of today. This is an issue that's in motion all the time. So it's always changing. It's never going to be the same. It's either going to be getting more serious, more repressive, or less repressive. It's always evolving. That's why it's hard to get a handle on it.
Well, can you imagine? I think England's really got to handle this very quickly because if I'm standing outside, again, of an abortion clinic and a police officer come out to me and ask me what I'm thinking, well, my private thoughts are my business.
I don't know why you guys are so obsessing over England. Why are we talking about England? Did I miss something?
Because I think it's further down the road
in England now. And because they're ahead of the curve. What they're going through now, we're going to be going through later.
Yes. Slippery slope.
Exactly.
The affront. So the guy can arrest me for suspicion of my thoughts in England. Really? Well, I mean, what are we talking about here? This is a totalitarian society.
Okay. All right. Hey, can I interrupt his First Amendment, Steve, and move on?
Do it.
Okay. All right. Take care. Thanks for the call. All right. Let's take another call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Brian. Brian, I've been feeling your pain for the last few minutes speaking about freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's not free speech. ABC is paying this guy so he can follow the company's policy. If Jimmy Kimmel cannot do that and can follow the station's guidelines and procedures, then he'll have consequences.
That's correct. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Also. Freedom of speech was only written to protect us from a tyrant government. It allows us to speak the public square about government, and that's it. It doesn't allow, it wasn't referring about private corporations. Every word we say is scripted, analyzed, or punished, that it was going to be passed by without any repercussions.
That's right.
And I think everybody is mixing one with the other.
I agree.
Jimmy Kimmel every night was instigating the American people with lies.
Well, here's the problem. Here, let me tell you how. We're short on time, caller. I apologize. We're short on time. I'm gonna have to
That's okay.
We got 15 minutes left. I've got spots and gold report. But I'll say this as we go in to break. No, I better not. Well, I just got to let you go. We'll take a break. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. We'll be right back. Hey there. Hold on. Okay. Steve, you there? Steve?
Hello?
Yeah, we got 1 minute. I'll conference William in a minute. Okay, I'm going to conference William, so hold on. All right, we have 30 seconds, William.
Okay. You there?
Yep, we're all both here. Stand by. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. And it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca. William Youngerman, how the metals look today?
Metals looking good. Yesterday we saw a little bit of a pullback after hitting an all-time record high for gold of $3,708 the ounce, and then reversing to go lower, down $29.70, which is certainly expected, closing out the day at $3,658.80. This is kind of reversals that we see each time we make these new record highs, and it usually gives us a little bit of a buying opportunity for a day or two, and then it goes right up, back up. So we've seen that many times. Silver closed down 91 cents yesterday at $41.59 the ounce. Platinum was down $27 at $1,365. And palladium was down $28, closing at $1,153. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $36.34 on the low, all the way up to $36.73. Right now, we're at $3,668 the ounce. That's up $9.20. And really only about $40 off the all-time record high of $3,708.
Wow.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Silver holding nicely there, too. Also, silver up 21 cents right now at $41.80 the ounce. Platinum up $31 at $1,396. And palladium up $7 at $1,160. So that's pretty much where we are, but still a little bit of a pullback from the all-time record high. still giving us a little bit of a buying opportunity. But at these numbers and in this day and age, the way things have been looking, any time is a good time to get in and buy the precious metals.
Yeah, and I know we talk about this from time to time, but I wanted just to give some people some more reasons why. If you're out of town, out of state, or even in town and you can't make it into William Youngerman's in Boca, you can do all your transactions through the mail and over the phone. Can you tell people how that works, William Youngerman?
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. You just call us up on our 800 number, toll free, lock in a price for the precious metals that you're looking to buy, and wire the money, and the items are shipped out the same day or the very next day, fully insured to you.
Yeah, and I wanted to add a couple things to that. When people do their transactions with you over the phone and through the mail, everything is completely confidential. They don't get on any sales calls list like these guys I see on TV and stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about? And also, you have like the incredible prices. A lot of people, they see these things on TV and online, and they're really paying inflated prices for the metals, William. And it's not that way with you. Give William Youngerman a call. Get your best prices on the metals, no matter where you're located. He opens up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. His number, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. If you can stop in, you should. It's a literal museum at William Youngerman's. The address, 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngerman, we're going to finish out the week tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks.
All right, you too. Take care. Yes. All right, we are back. It's up to you, but I think we got a little bit off topic. See, Steve, these leftists instigated this violence against Charlie Kirk and President Trump. They've instigated it through.
Well, reset.
And what I was talking about, there's been a big reset back to normal people running the country. The country's been run by weirdos for the last few years. Weirdos and freaks and hate mongers. Just terrible people. I was watching Kash Patel's hearing in the House yesterday. He did spectacular. He tore them up, especially Swalwell and... Swalwell. Who's that jerk from California? He was in House. Now he's in the Senate.
Oh yeah.
The nastiest. He's got a mortgage scam going on now, like Letitia. Who am I talking about? Oh, what you guys? What am I? Oh, I cannot believe I can't. I didn't get much sleep last night. Schiff. He, the day before was the Senate. He humiliated Schiff. I mean, Schiff's never been talked to like that before. And yesterday, the Republicans did something that was so clever. And you have to have a trained ear for mics to pick up on this. I was watching these House hearings yesterday with Kash Patel. You know how they ask you ridiculous questions that are really not questions, they're accusations, and when you go to answer, they reclaim your time? They reclaim their time so you can't answer, right?
Man.
They do that thing. Did you beat your wife, or something? And then when you try to say no, I reclaim my time, and you don't get the answer. Well, not only did Kash Patel continue to answer when they asked these stupid questions, the Republicans, whoever came up with this, should get a Presidential Medal of Freedom. They had this, and now when I tell you this, and if you go back and see the clips in the news today, you guys will pick up on this. They had Kash Patel's mic turned up louder than the Congress people's microphones. So when they interrupted him and he was still talking, his mic was louder, talking over them. And he barked. I can't play the clips because there was profanities used by Kash but his mic was louder than theirs, so they couldn't reclaim their time. And he told them
it was a great moment in sports.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea it was to do that, but it was brilliant. He tore them all up. It was beautiful. And all my disappointments with Kash, he earned a lot of respect back from me yesterday. Not that Kash cares what I think, but if you missed any of that, go back and watch it. It was a beautiful thing. And since you're talking about England, I watched how the King of England not only honored our great president, but I was watching some of the commentators in England. And some of these guys have been around for a long time. Some of them were really old guys. And they said there has never been a ceremony like this for a foreign head of state before. That it was far and above anything that any of them have ever seen.
Yeah, the crown knows which side its bread is buttered on.
That's right. So King Charles was honoring our president at a level that it's never happened before by any head of state over there, and which was a lot of great reason. What do you think that was about? Because I always thought he was a leftist. He was in all that green crap. I don't know why he went over the top, but it was beautiful, and while the King of England is honoring our president, Kash Patel was filleting these House members yesterday, and it was a lot of fun to watch. All right, let's take a call or two. We're running short on time. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Lisa from Fort Kent, Maine. How are you?
All right, Lisa in Maine. What's on your mind?
Lisa.
Hi there. I just want to say you are looking absolutely fantastic since your weight loss.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I was just wondering. You're very welcome. And I was just wondering if you could give us a little bit of information on how this program works.
Well, people ask me that a lot, right? It's called Coastal Weight Loss Secret. That's the secret. I can't give out the secret. But if you call them, it's a no-charge consultation, which you can do over the phone in Maine or on Zoom.
Yeah, give me the number.
Yeah, I'll give you the number. And they'll give you the secret when you call for the free consultation, okay? It's 561, and since you're watching online, you can rewind this if you miss it and get the number. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300, all right? But everything, you've heard me talk about it. It's that easy, all right?
Okay, I thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
All right, take care. Yeah, people tell me that a lot, Steve. I tell them the same thing. Well, that's the secret. I can't give you the secret. They'll give it to you when you call. Oh, man. But, I thought it was really awesome that the king honored he was honoring our country, too. But that shows the level of respect that's back in the country. So this stuff that's going on with Kimmel and everyone, there's a reset. America is getting its proper place back as leader of the world, right? Leader of the world. And we have adults that are running the country now. We were being run by corrupt gangsters. J.D. Vance was speaking yesterday, and he was talking, there's no more drug boats coming. And they blew up the first one. Then the cartels tested the second one. They blew that one up, and there's no more drug boats coming to the United States. They've shut down the cartels. And I saw this morning our new War Department released some footage. They leaked some footage out to the press. It's the Marines doing amphibious exercises in Puerto Rico, and they're sending the mess. They may go take a port or something in Venezuela, is what the rumor is, where the cartels are operating out of Venezuela. And so the president, it's the great American reset that's going on. We've not seen anything like it. Now, before we end, I got to talk about this. This is an incredible new thing at Sloman's. The Sloman's Shield Link. Okay, listen to this. The Sloman Shield Link integrates your home security system with all this kind of automation around your house. You can connect your alarm system, your cameras, your shades, your thermostat, your television, your garage, everything, all in one single app. And with one click, you can control multiple devices at the same time. For example, you can disarm the alarm instantly and at the same time adjust your thermostat, turn on your lights, turn off your lights, get your TV, get your radio, get your devices on. It's amazing. And the best part is you don't have to figure it out yourself, because Sloman's, they'll handle all the installation and programming for you. The Sloman Shield Link works on your existing devices. Give them a call, and I don't have the number. Oh, my goodness. I don't have the number, Steve, for Sloman's. You got to bear with me while I'm looking for the number for Sloman's. I've got all this copy, and I've got everything but the Sloman's number. I'll find it in a minute. Hold on. No, that's Friendly Tire. That's Dr. Appleton. Okay, here it is. 183. I have all this copy. I just need the phone numbers. I do everything off the top of my head but the phone numbers. give Sloman's a call and ask them about the Sloman Shield link. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. And check that out. It's pretty cool. Anyway, tomorrow is Friday, and that means open phones, Open MAGA Mike Friday. And that means those of you that are new to the program, on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you can call in about anything and everything on your mind. You're not limited to what Steve and I talk about. The show prep is up to you guys on Friday. Monday through Thursday, you got to talk about what we want to talk about. But Friday, the show prep's up to you, within reason. All right. Remember that guy that called in about the frozen peas? Oh, my goodness. The phones aren't that open, okay? But I'll never forget that call. But tomorrow's Open Phone Friday, Open MAGA Mike Friday. Don't miss that show. Those of you that are new, you'll love it. Of course, all the calls still screenless, unvetted, cold calls right on the air. We didn't have it last week because the assassination of Charlie Kirk, so we suspended Open MAGA Mike Friday last Friday. But it'll be back tomorrow. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Pretty amazing. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. My name is Brian Craig, and we're going to continue this discussion tomorrow, Steve, because today is going to be all the fallout over the removal of the air of Jimmy Kimmel. And it's going to be an all-day liberal meltdown day. All right, guys, take care. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. And God bless Charlie Kirk. See you tomorrow. All right, Steve, I'll call you in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right, take care. All right, now, you guys watching, I got a busy day today, but there's something that I wanted to share with you. Don't go anywhere. And if you'd like to call in, you're certainly welcome to still call in. I wanted to pull this up. This just blew my mind yesterday when I saw this. Did any of you see this? This guy here, Frank Turek. He was in the car with Charlie Kirk when they were taking him to the hospital after he was shot. Did any of you guys see this? And he was talking about what happened in the car, and I thought I'd share this with you because it was crazy. Listen to this.
There. Now, here's what Erica wants me to relate on Sunday.
The memorial.
This is going to be the hard part, but maybe also the comforting part. Charlie Kirk was literally like a son to me. I have 3 sons. He was like my 4th son. My 3 sons are a little bit older than Charlie. He was like my 4th son. So when he was hit, if your son got hit, what would you do? What would you do? I got in the car. Because if there was any way I could save him, I had to do something. I couldn't just take him. You guys got it. So they got him into the side of the car. It was an SUV.
Now, by the way, those of you watching on the live stream with the green behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear this video and audio. The direct link is in the description of the video.
It was the SUV we took over. And I'm on one side, and there's actually some video of this. Somebody's taking video of this. I'm on one side of the car, the right side, and they're getting Charlie in. So I run over to the other side, but the guy who was dragging him in is now blocking that entrance. So at that point, I run around to the back. I pop the back gate open, and I jump in the back. The car lurches forward. Apparently somebody jumped in the car. So the car lurches forward. So I almost fall out of the car, the SUV. Then I grab the thing and close it. And there's 5 of us in the car now. Justin is driving. Dan is up front with the GPS. Rick has got him. Rick's on my left, and Brian is there, and I'm coming over the back seat, and Charlie's laid out in front, just right in front of me.
Wow.
And Charlie's so tall, we can't close the door. We drove 4 miles, I don't know, it's 4 something miles, all the way to the hospital with the door open. To this day, I don't know how Brian stayed in the car, because we're just go.
It's insane.
We're trying to stop the bleeding. You saw it. And I'm yelling, come on, Charlie, come on, come on. Meanwhile, my phone is still on. My son and daughter-in-law are hearing this whole thing. And his security team, again, Justin, Dan, Brian, and Rick, they love Charlie. But they were much cooler than I mean, they're just carrying out, they're calmly, but they're swiftly doing exactly what they were trained to do. Rick starts praying out loud. I'm praying out loud. We're yelling, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. My son's hearing all this. And we're doing the best we can to navigate traffic. This is not a highway. We're on surface streets. And suddenly there's an ambulance coming toward us. And there was conversation in the car. Should we stop? We're like, no, just keep going. Just keep going. The doctor later said that was the right thing to do. Ambulance goes by us. We're still heading to the hospital, trying to get there. At one point, somebody says, let's get there in one piece because we're cutting through intersections. We're just beeping the horn. This is not a emergency vehicle. There's no lights. There's none of this. And I go, we got to start CPR. So I try and start that. Now, Charlie wasn't there. His eyes were fixed. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me right into eternity. He was with Jesus already. He was killed instantly and felt absolutely no pain. That's what I was told later. But of course, we had to try. And by the way, there was just nothing any of us could do about it. We were giving him CPR, but nothing was happening. It wasn't like if we had better first aid or we had better medical facilities or we were faster to the hospital, we could have saved him. We couldn't. So if that's any comfort at all, Charlie didn't suffer. He was gone. He was with Jesus, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That's where he was. Now, it is true, when we got to the hospital and they started working on him right away, they did get a pulse back. And so Rick and I were just, everyone's praying. We're just praying for a miracle. We had a small sliver of hope. And the doctor later said that we got a pulse because Charlie was a very healthy man, but the shot was catastrophic. So 20 or 30 minutes later, the surgeon came out and said he was dead. There.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. I was going to talk about that at the memorial. I saw that last night before I went to bed, and pretty powerful. No. That's the reason I share that. That's what these leftists have been celebrating. I mean, sometimes when somebody's famous, somebody's well known, a public figure, a lot of these people in the public remove them from like reality. I mean, can you imagine what it was like in that car? Holy smokes! You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, good morning. How you doing, Brian?
All right.
Yes. So I was wondering, I'm located down here in the southern parts of the United States. It's getting quite crazy right around now. They're showing lots of footage and lots of, these videos.
Hold on, I'm answering some of these
and everything
lines.
like that. Can you hear me, Brian?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
And it upsets me, but I understand what they're trying to say. I do. But it's now getting to the point where what people aren't seeing is it's going to get to the people. It's going to get to these children. And I'm not really liking all this message. Now, I understand Mr. Charlie Kirk was, I watched him. But my take on that, a lot of the stuff he said, I think about these kids. So I just want to know, one of the things he said was, one of my son's friends, he's of this, and he was telling, he said that black people are capable of.
He didn't say that.
He
didn't say that. That's bullshit. Come on. He didn't say that.
Well, then if we pulled up the video.
No, he didn't say that. No, he didn't say. Excuse me. He didn't say that.
He
didn't say that. He didn't say that.
He never said that.
No.
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 So now that's the problem there, Brian, because I watched it with my own eyes.
No, you didn't. You're a liar. You are a liar.
But how am I a liar when there's a real video out there?
Because there's no video. There's no video. He didn't.
How
He
about
didn't
this
say
one?
it.
How
He
about
didn't
this
say
part?
that. That's total
Again, listen.
bullshit. Shame on you.
Well, okay.
You didn't say. You're lying to me. No, excuse me. You're lying
Can you tell me?
There is no video of him saying that.
Can you tell me?
I'll
move on.
Yeah.
I got one more subject.
Oh, okay.
I'll move on.
No, I don't know about that. I mean, that's just a complete lie. That is a complete lie. And he says he saw the video. I don't think so. You're on the air. What's your name? Not after watching that video I just played. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is Connie from Pompano Beach.
Yes, Connie.
Hi. Listen, my kids, we listen to you every morning. My kids came out and told me that I need to stop listening to
me?
you.
Why?
I'm part of the problem, Brian. I'm part of the problem. My kids think that he deserved that bullet.
Come on. How old are your kids?
17 and 19.
Why did they think that?
Because and I didn't raise them like this, Brian. And I said to them, you really saw no value in anything he said. You don't see any value in anything that's happening in this country because they believe he was inciting violence. They believe he was spreading hate speech.
Yeah.
That's what they believe, and they believe it, and they will not change their mind. And then they said, you're impossible, Mom. You never change your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Of course I changed my mind.
Well,
of course, I was a liberal once, too.
Oh. Well, I understand them thinking that way because, right before you, I don't know if you were listening offline, but I just got this call from this guy that just lied to me. He, with his Southern accent, trying to act all country and MAGA, and he said that he saw a video of Charlie Kirk saying that black people can't fly airplanes. I mean, and I told him he's a liar. He just made that up. And the media, see, this is one of the problems. This is why Jimmy Kimmel's off the air. These liberals in media are just telling bold-faced lies about a national figure who was just assassinated. And they'll lie right to your face, So I'm not surprised that your kids think that way.
They think I'm brainwashed. They think I'm brainwashed.
What do they think I am? I mean, you said they told you to stop listening to me?
Oh, well, they certainly don't agree with anything we agree about, even stuff that you kind of can't dispute, things that make really good sense. They just override it and get to the next point. Well, that's because you're a racist, and they go right to the racist thing.
You're white? You and your kids are white?
Yes.
So they were. So they think. So they. My daughter, who's biracial, is MAGA, right? She voted for Trump. I'm very lucky. And I feel for parents that have children like this. Like one of Steve's daughters won't even talk to him over Trump. But he has 7 kids, so
we're right on the brink. We're right on the brink. And I said, listen, if you don't like, I can't sit in my living room right now and listen to the show and have a conversation with my husband. We can't talk about it. I've been silenced in my home, and I know I'm not the only one.
My house, my rules. Luckily my whole family.
I said you're welcome to move out.
Oh yeah, at 17. I'm lucky. My whole family is MAGA except one person. There's one liberal in my family. I see them twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I don't bring up the politics. They try to needle me and bring it up, but I don't want to cause an argument at Thanksgiving or Christmas for everybody because they get all triggered and everything, and I'm the monster.
Yeah, I don't bring it up either.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to him. My kid, I was like, "You're in bed sleeping still. Why do you even care what we're out
Where
here
did they
doing?
get? Where did they get that at? Public school? Where did they get this crap at? Public school?
Yes. Well, right about the time the pandemic hit, everything changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right about that time. They used to be pretty normal kids in every way, and I used to be quite liberal myself, really liberal. And I started noticing, when Biden got in office, I said, well, can we stop talking about Trump just for like a minute? Why do I have to tune in every night and hear this? You have nothing else to talk about. We got rid of Trump, right?
Yeah.
Trump's gone. Why are we still talking about him?
Yeah.
But they didn't see it that way, and I started to ask questions. And see, you're not allowed to ask questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, they'll grow up.
I hope so.
They'll grow up. They're
Brian.
kids.
We really like your show.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Well, keep me updated. I'm glad you called.
right, thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. Yeah. And that's a local listener. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
I was just wanted to comment quickly. The guy that just called with the southern accent.
Seminar caller.
It's a lie. A lie by analysis.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this about the guy. So he knew he's a seminar caller. I'm sure he has no idea who I am, right? They just give. And so I debunked his first thing. So he's going to go on a whole list with another lie. I just couldn't do it, especially. And I just couldn't do it. But anyway.
Host.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I'm the host, and your insanity. Sorry, not wanted. I mean, it's lie by analysis. If I were to get on a plane nowadays, or maybe now not as much, but 10 years ago, whatever, the DEI insanity was a lie. And if I get on a plane and I see an old black man, if the pilot is an older black guy, an older black gentleman, whatever, I'm not worried at all. But if I see this young, if I see anybody young in a plane,
and skinny pants,
I don't care what color. I don't care what color they are. I mean,
and skinny pants.
If I see that, I'm worried.
Well, I'll tell you. But listen, he wasn't talking. That guy that called me, he said he saw the video of Charlie Kirk saying that. That's when he did. He said I saw a video of him saying that. That's a problem, Brian. I saw this video where he said it, and that's where I blew my stack. I mean,
exactly.
Come on.
That's what they do, though. That's the lie by analysis that they put forward. People hear that, believe it, without even looking at it or taking any type of a thought process to analyze, to go see it for themselves and really analyze. They just take that, they swallow it, and move on to the next lie. Just like the Schumer saying that Trump shut down Kimmel. Trump did not shut down any of that. That was the private sector, not the government. And the freedom of speech thing this morning was a little frustrating listening to that, because the freedom of speech thing, it's almost turned into a hammer, just like the Me Too movement. The thing is, why the standard for freedom of speech always goes, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Now, why is that? Because to yell fire in a crowded theater is a lie when there's no fire. If people get hurt, okay. If there is a fire, then you're the hero. But if the whole thing is to yell it when there isn't one is a lie.
Well, to talk about that one more specifically, because people say it and I don't think they think about it. You can yell fire in a crowded theater under a couple of circumstances. One, if there is a fire.
A fire.
Two, if there is not a fire and no one gets hurt. When you get into trouble is when you yell fire. You yell fire in a crowded theater. There's no fire. People panic and people die by getting stomped to death. Now you've committed a crime. So you've through a lie you've instigated a death. That's what's going on with these leftists in the media, of which Jimmy Kimmel's a part of, with Charlie Kirk and President Trump. And they have been yelling fire in a crowded theater with no fire, and people have been getting shot and killed because of it.
Yes. And then on the reverse, not the reverse of that, but the other side of that coin is, as well, is, like I said, the Me Too movement, is that they use it when the government gets involved in it, and then people feign that they've been hurt. Somebody says something and they're hurt, and therefore you can't say that. That's the soft hammer side, the hard hammer that they use. The government, when they're whack jobs like the Biden administration, they use it as a weapon to suppress speech, because people are getting hurt when they're not getting hurt.
But I think something else is going on here with the Trump administration. But before I tell you what I think is going on, I want to tell you about MyPillow. Now, you guys know I've expanded the show to 4 hours. I start early and I'm going late, and I've added my afternoon show. That is all brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Okay? So, and if you noticed also, I've been keeping the show going through the breaks. I haven't stopped, right? I'm taking calls, doing everything during the commercial breaks. That is all sponsored by MyPillow. So you've got to go to MyPillow.com, use my promo code Kane at checkout to let Mike Lindell know that his sponsorship is money well spent, okay? You can use my promo code Kane on all the specials. The 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper is $50 off right now and free shipping with my promo code Kane at checkout. I sleep on that every night. So let Mike Lindell know you're supporting the program by loading up on MyPillow products. All right, let's finish up before I say goodbye, because I got a meeting I got to go to, and I got to call Steve, and I got a bunch. I'm very busy today.
I'll say two quick things. The other day we were talking about it drove me a little crazy because I remember the canonization, the kid's name, the saint's name, not the kid, but he is a kid. Saint Carlo Acutis.
Yes, Carlo Acutis. Yes.
Carlo Acutis from he was an AC Milan fan. I mean, I remember reading about this kid a while ago, and maybe 2 weeks back, Brian, you and I were having one of those moments where we couldn't remember that I mentioned a Republican I knew had a problem. We were talking about Mondami and the Republican that got smoked because he thought he was just was going to breeze in, was going to walk into it. That was Cantor.
Yes.
That was Cantor.
Yes.
From Virginia. He thought he was going to walk in and he got wiped out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
For taking on the establishment. Yeah.
Tough subjects, by the way.
They are.
That video you just played of the man in the van, and then right after that you get that caller.
Oh my goodness! What a psycho!
That's the epitome of the left. They have no freaking clue. They have no sympathy, no empathy, no. I mean, my God, the lack of heart. I mean, I was practically in tears listening to that.
These seminar callers, they typically have Southern accents. Most of the time they say they're from Kentucky. He talked about being from Southern Florida or something. So nobody in Florida says Southern Florida. You're in South Florida, okay? Or you're in Southwest Florida on the Gulf of America coast. I've never heard anybody say Southern Florida, But, the timing of that call with that was crazy.
Horrific. I just want to scream when I hear that. I mean,
well, listen, I got to run. I'm going to be late for my meeting, but thanks for the call, and I'll talk to you again.
Yep.
All right, take care. If you're new to the program, make sure that you subscribe, all right? This is where MAGA comes to talk. My name is Brian Craig, and if you could take the link to the program and share it on your social media and like the video as well, all that helps grow the channel and the community. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.